Well, you know what it is. Thursday night, live in the counselor's corner, having another one of those cocktail conversations with myself, David Lorenzo Glover, aka the controversial counselor, and Herb Lewis, the big bad wolf. We are streaming live on Facebook and YouTube from the StreamYard platform. We're going to step out of the cocktail conversations book and tackle this topic. How do you walk away? We spend a lot of time working on how to begin a relationship, but do we ever talk about how to properly end a relationship? And what I mean by that is sometimes people never get closure, legitimate or real closure in previous relationships, but then they're on to the next and trying to figure out how to move on to the next without closing out that prior relationship properly. Um, Now, people go about it in several ways, and not any one of them is the correct way written in stone. It all boils down to the individual. Some people prefer to send a simple text to call it quits. Wow, that's deep. You send a text. Others may settle for a simple phone call. And finally, many people like to have a face to face. Another way is to simply get ghost on someone. And I think that's utterly insensitive, but sometimes, depending on the situation, it may be the best situation to say, listen, I can't even have no contact. I'm not texting. I'm not having no face to face. I'm not wasting my time calling because I already know how this movie's going to play out. Please join the discussion tonight. Share and like this video. Share and like it. Everybody share and like the video. And please subscribe to my YouTube channel, The Controversial Counselor. So here we have it. Yeah, so but before that, let me see. Any breaking news or housekeeping thing? Nah, not really. Same old at the workplace. I don't expect it to change. And usually that's my housekeeping thing because that's the big part of my life, my full-time job. But ain't nothing popping off at the schoolhouse. And I know next year when everything gets back in full swing, it'll be times I'll be like, damn, man, I remember I was asking for all this. Now it's like overkill. But that's all I have on this end. Ain't really nothing jumping off this way like that. Um, Herb, man, with this subject, man, how do you walk away? I got a two-part question. The last time you were in a relationship, how did you end it? That's one. And then I want you to marinate on this other one. Has it ever been a time someone ended it with you and you might have had a little resistance from it? And how did you handle that particular situation? Because let's be real, a lot of times, I post scenarios and I see some of the comments on Facebook and people like, oh no, I never wish anyone bad. I let them go on, but I know sometimes it's like, usually it's not a mutual agreement. Someone, it's one person who's saying this is the way it got to be, and the other person may be combative, like why, or can we make it better, or trying to figure things out. So talk to me, brother.
Wow. Those are interesting questions. I'll start with the second one first. The last time I had somebody break up with me, I thought, and this is just my personal thoughts on the situation looking back. I thought the relationship hadn't really run its course, but in hindsight, being what it is, and they always say Monday morning armchair quarterbacking, I think that was a good call on her behalf. The reason being is because we were diametrically opposed. And she had kids, I didn't, and there's always a situation that I was being put in that she wanted to maintain control over. And I'll tell that story in this manner. We were at her house. You know, it was her. I think the son at that time was 16. So we're sitting around, and the son was well aware that I was working security at the casino. So the conversation was moving on. And he asked, what would I do if he came down there and got in a fight? Now I'm thinking, what type of question is that to ask someone when A, you're underage, and B, you should have no business at a casino? So I looked at his mother, and his mother gave me one of those looks like, well, what are you going to say? I said, well, I would treat you the same way that I would treat anybody else. And in the conversation was dead quiet. I said, why would I treat you any differently? So later on that night, his mother tried to lay into me speaking as if, how could you say that to him? I said, well, wait a minute. I said, just because I'm sleeping with you, you think he gets a pass? I said, if you're going to reprimand somebody, reprimand your child. I'm a grown man. You have no business trying to reprimand me for standing up. A, for being a man, and 2, for doing my job. I said, he's 16. He has no business asking me that question. When I was a kid, you would never ask an adult that type of question. You get your head taken off your shoulders. And that's when we talked about the social contact, that was one of the woven fibers in there that people don't acknowledge, is that when adults were having adult conversations, kids were never anywhere around. So those type of situations were few and far between. And when they did occur, the child was reprimanded on the spot. So maybe a week or so later, the individual called and said, you know, I don't want to continue with the relationship. And I was kind of caught off guard. And I was just like, okay. It's like, all right, you know, I'm not going to try to convince you otherwise. You know, that's the road you want to take. By all means, go ahead and take that road. So, you know, we went on our separate ways. You know, we no longer converse. There's no reason for us to converse. There was some exchanges on Facebook that she didn't like. Okay, going about your merry way. I'm not bothered either way. I've always said that my malignant malevolence is better than most people's benign benevolence. And what that essentially means is this: I'm not going to wish you harm. I'm not going to do you harm. Whatever our relationship is, I'm going to let you go. The situation you find yourself in will be due to your own decisions. There's over the last 4 or 5 months, there have been people I've known going back to high school that I've ended associations with across the board. Unfriended, I don't want to see them I don't want to see them. I don't want to talk to them. I want to have anything to do with them because they feel as if they have a right to tell me how to speak and how to behave. Last I looked, my mother passed. She was about the only one that could have input into how I behave or how I speak. And even then, she realized that he's an adult man. I no longer have that type of influence or sway in what he says or what he does. For the simple fact that I'm not out here harming anybody. Now, you'll have people that'll say, my language, my rhetoric is harmful to people. Newsflash, if my language, my rhetoric, or the things that I say are harmful to you, then you haven't lived in this world long enough to actually understand what's harmful. There are people out here, excuse me, there are people out here who say far worse, who do far worse than anything I've ever said or could or have done. Now, to get back to the first part of the question was, run that by me again, David.
I think I said something about well, before we go to that first part, I got the ladies in the studio. I'm going to bring them in. So hello, Anita. Hello, Brolic T, Scorpio T.
Good evening, everybody.
Rebecca. She's not.
Good evening, gentlemen.
Hello. So, hello. So the first part of the question was, remember we talked about certain ways that people in relationships. So I said, when it was a point that you had to end the relationship, or how did you do it?
I did it face to face because the individual had a key to my house, so I wanted to make sure I actually got the key back. And I just, I went over there. I said, look,
Hold up,
you know,
man. You be holding out, man. Some young
I
lady
just
had the key to the
yeah,
gate, had the key to the building.
had unfettered access to my house. But
Oh
like I said, I
wow.
screened well. So her having the key wasn't a problem.
Okay.
So I went over there. It was after Thanksgiving, a situation that occurred. I just didn't like how the situation unfolded, and it gave me a glimpse into what could potentially be. So I said, I said this is not going the way I want it. I asked my key back and said, we got to call this quits. You go your way, I go mine. I'm not that type of person that's going to ghost somebody, and I know that's become um, the go-to card for a lot of guys. They leave people without closure. And I'm not here to tell somebody that's wrong, that's right. An individual, you live your life how you want to. I'm not that type of person. I'm going to tell you, leave me alone. Don't bother me for this particular purpose. You want to have a dialogue or discussion about something, I'm cool with that. But otherwise, let's end this right here, right now.
All right. The last thing for you, you then I'm gonna bring the ladies in. So you didn't get no pushback from her. It was just like, okay, here's the key, and she bailed out.
Well, it wasn't that she didn't offer any pushback. She was stunned. She didn't understand why. And I just laid it out. I said, you're doing these things that run counterproductive to my long-term plan. You're putting certain things ahead of certain things. And I'll throw this out there. It was widely known. It's widely known now that I don't own a vehicle. And one of the discussions she was having with her mother was, how am I going to get her to work if I don't have a vehicle? And I looked up, I said, the last time I checked, it was not my responsibility to ensure she got to work. I don't look for anybody to get me to work. I get to work how I get to work, whether it's by car, taxi, bike, or walk. So it was that type of thought process that was coming from her mother let me know that I had made the right decision. I was just like, I know this is not gonna work long term. Nope. She's putting things her financial house was out of order in terms of what I was looking for in a potential long term mate. I said, no, that's not gonna happen.
Okay. All right, ladies. Yeah, I mean, y'all been in the studio since we've been talking about it, and the subject is kind of like, how do you walk away? Um, any of y'all got anything y'all want to add to what was said so far? Real talk.
What's the question? I'm sorry.
I said, many of you were in the studio and, asked a couple questions of her, but I was just saying the overall um, topic tonight is how do we walk away from relationships? A lot of times we plan on how do we get into another relationship, but we never talk about how do we properly close out a relationship. Some people do it by text message. Some people ghost people. Some people may say, oh, we need to have a sit down face to face. Some people do it by phone. So that's basically it. Like, what's your take on some of the stuff that was said so far?
I mean, I think I've only had one person break up with me, and I stalked the shit out of him.
Mm.
Um,
Now we being real. We being real.
I was young, I was young. But I stalked the hell out of him for like 2 weeks. I rang his damn doorbell so much that he shut the power off to his house, just so that he didn't have to listen. And finally, my girlfriends were. I remember I went to work just looking sad, and telling all my girlfriends what were going on. They was just like, "Girl, do we need to like drive a car up and through his house?" And I was like, "Yeah, let's do that." When they realized that I was serious, they were just like, "Oh, hell no, we're gonna have an intervention." And then, one day I just woke up and I was good. I think it was the shock of it. He wanted to have children and I did not. And that's why we broke up. But now that I'm older, hopefully you can talk it out. I think it depends on the circumstances of the breakup. If it's an abuse situation going on, I would say run. if it's just a difference of opinion, something that could be talked out, but it can't be resolved. Hopefully, you're grown up enough where you can move on. But breaking up ain't never easy. Usually, very seldom do you have two people in agreement about breaking up. So somebody's feelings are usually more hurt than the other. And depending on which side of the fence you're on, I can't say that even in some of the breakups that I've been through where I was the initiator, I wasn't happy about it. So I think sometimes we get caught up in our feelings too much. And nobody really wants to have a failed relationship. You know what I mean? Sometimes people will just stay in it, keep fighting for it, even though they know it's not going to work, because they just don't want to say that they failed at a relationship again. And so breakups tend to be slow and painful. And usually when you get full, you just go ahead on and part ways. But I don't think I've ever ghosted anybody. There's always been a conversation. Since I've been here in Texas, I've only dated 2 people since I've been here, and they were both over 5 years. So when we broke up, I'm still really good friends with the both of them and see the both of them still. So there were no hard feelings, but I just think it all depends on what side of the fence you're on, and how much you get in your feelings. And some people don't want to let you break up with them, like how I was when I was younger. Now, you got some people, they rather see you dead than leave them.
Yeah, that's true.
You know what I'm saying? And it's easier to stay. It's safer to stay with somebody than it is to break up, especially. Well, I can't even say for women, because that can go both ways. Folks don't have no problems killing people, talking that noise about, if I can't have you, nobody else will, type stuff, and you'll just stay because until you can figure out a real way to get out. But hopefully, if you're being grown up about it, you'll talk about it, and you move on with your life. And
But usually, isn't there warning signs before when
there's
someone
always a
says that?
warning
Yeah,
sign.
when they
God
start
always
talking that
puts
language.
God always puts a stop sign in front of you and tell you. But and very seldom do I go on to the woman's side or the man's side, but I really believe in women's intuition, that something is telling you, say, dog, you don't see that. And most of the time we will, I don't want to say blame ourselves, but we will say, if I do this, it'll fix this. If I sleep with him more, he'll be all right. If the meal is better, he'll be all right. If I clean a little harder, he'll be, you know what I'm saying? We'll make those type of excuses for the person we're with because we love them, or we think we love them. And I think people in general believe that if we're coming into your life, they're lacking something, and I'm the one that can give it to them. You can see another person's history and know that they've never successfully, completed a relationship. It was always some little thing, and you think, that's not gonna be me. You know what I mean? It's just like, my mom was married when she had us, and I ended up being a single mom. And if my daughter were to come to me and say, I want to have a baby, and I say, don't do that until you get married because this, and this, she might say, well, I'm not going to do that. That was you. That was me. And sometimes we get into relationships and we're just like, that's not going to be me. I'll never let a man hit me, or I'll never let a man lie to me. And it's easy to say those things when you're on the outside looking in, but when you're in the throes of a relationship and your feelings are involved and all these factors going in, you'd be surprised at how thick those rose-colored glasses can get, and the things that you want to believe about a person, and the things that you feel like if you do, it'll make it better, either for you, for him, for both. And I think when people take off those glasses and they just see people as people with faults, and they can tend to stay a step ahead of them. One of the ladies said last week, somebody asked something about giving love or taking love away, and somebody made the response like, I can take my love back. you know, and sometimes that's a difficult thing to do. You would think it would be easy. You can get mad quick, you know, you can get sad quick, you can have all these different emotions, but when it comes to love, it seems to be one of those feelings that some people have a difficult time bringing back to themselves, even when they see themselves getting hurt, or you feel like you're losing yourself in a relationship because of another person, because you're trying to make them happy and realizing that you're just making yourself sadder and sadder. So, you know, I think breaking up and getting together is very dynamic.
All right. I appreciate that insight. A lot of valuable information. Who's next? Who wants to add to or to bring their perspective?
I think Rebecca pretty much said everything. I've never been ghosted, and I generally don't make a habit of, when I in a relationship, I'm not going to do you a disrespect of sending you a text message.
Yeah.
I need to have a conversation with you. How you respond to that conversation is totally up to you, because what I can't do is control your response. However, you know, if I have figured out or determined that this thing just ain't gonna work, no matter how much work you put into it, then it's time, you know, for me to let you know this is where I stand with this, and this is what I see. Um, I'm not the type of person when you bring that. Well, generally, what happens, especially if it's somebody that's been really, um, I guess the word is lacking, or whatever you want to call it. When you say, okay, this ain't working, and all of a sudden they can be the superhero, that's not enough. You know, that time has passed for me. So when I have broken up with people, it is that basically been a conversation. Now I have been stalked on a few occasions
I'm sorry
because
about that.
some of them just don't believe you when you say,
No.
hey, this ain't that no more. It's a done deal for me. And um, I'm not easily spooked, so I'm not the one you can really stalk and it's gonna go your way. But I think everybody deserves a measure of respect. And the measure of respect that I have for you, will not allow me to send you an email, send you a text message, or just ghost you. You're an adult. You should be able to handle, when someone says, hey, this ain't working. If a man told me, hey, this ain't working, you get no argument from me, because I don't want anybody that does not want me. You said that it's not working for you. That's absolutely fine. I don't even feel like I failed, because I know I have given you all that I had at that moment to give. You know what I'm saying? That changes over the course of time, because, like, when you're a teenager, you got all this energy, so you just figure you can conquer the world. I'm older now. I don't got time for that. If you decide that you don't want me, that's absolutely fine. I'm not going to even hold it against you. We're going to go our separate ways. You go be happy, and I'm going to be happy, because it's not, I don't put the full, it's not his responsibility to be my total happiness. So just because we break apart does not mean I'm not going to be happy. Does not mean that I'm going to harbor any ill will. In fact, I hope the Lord bless you to find everything you ever wanted in life. By
Seriously.
all means, please live your life and be happy. I don't have to be a part of that for you to be happy. And I would rather you say to me, hey, this is not working. You don't really have to even give me an explanation. If it's not working for you, then it's not working for me, because I'm not about to do the circus act. I'm not jumping through 6,000 hoops. I'm not jumping through a ring of fire. I'm not doing the tricks. If it is not working for you, then it's absolutely not working for me, and let's move on. To me, that's the responsible way to do some things. However, you still have to know who you're dealing with, because some men, you try to give them the courtesy of a face-to-face conversation, and you might not ever come home. That might be your last night on this earth if you're not careful about what you do and how you do it. You understand what I'm saying? So with that, you have to be very careful. And it could be the same way for, a man that tells a woman, hey, I don't want to see you anymore. and it could be his last night away. So you have to be very, very careful and be wise in the way that you do things, um with my stalking situations, they kind of took me by surprise because listen, I thought we agreed this is time to move on. Next thing I know, I have all types of issues, and I had to, street justice sometimes got to be issued so you get the message. But as far as that, I just think everybody deserves a measure of respect when you're in any situation. If you're done, I'm done, and you don't have to give me 10,000 reasons why. If you say to me, like Herb said, that lady asked him why. All you have to say to me is, it's not working for me. Also, I've never given a key to anybody that I'm not married to or anybody that I did not push out. The only person who has ever had a key to my house was my baby brother. See, that's how you eliminate it, because I'm not giving you a key if I got any inkling. Just like Rebecca said, something you had those red flags, and we determine, oh no, see, that's not, no. You give somebody attributes they don't actually have because you got those good rose-colored glasses on. Once you take those glasses off, you realize that you just gave them attributes that was not there. Okay, so when it's time to go on, now you not knowing who you were dealing with all that time, because for the first time you've taken off those glasses. But I think everybody should be talked to when it's time for, when it's that time. Have a conversation. If you don't feel like it's a safe thing, call them, at least talk to them on the phone. You know what I'm saying? Get their questions answered, get it settled so that you don't have a stalker situation. That's all I got.
All right.
Yeah.
Man, listen.
Rollick T or Anita?
We can't hear you.
Yeah, mute, Anita.
On.
We can hear
Can
you
you hear
now.
me
Start
now?
talking.
Yeah. You're
Yeah.
looking like Morticia tonight. I like that.
Yeah, I love that. I can see your
Yeah.
makeup tonight. Keep going,
Yeah.
girl. Yeah.
I'm in rare form. I think it depends on how long you've been together. If it's just casual dating, I'm probably going to send you a text message. If it's just something casual, nothing serious. But if we've been together for a couple months, a while, I think it deserves a face-to-face conversation out of respect and common consideration, because some people might want to do a self-check and see how somebody else perceives them. And like, I might be doing something wrong that I don't even know somebody picks up on. So for me personally, I like to do a self-check. I like to know what it was about the relationship. Was it you? Was it me? Was it both? That's how I am. I'm a little different because I like to know things. I'm inquisitive.
So you like a probationary status. You like a check-in every 3 months, every 6 months, 9 months.
What do you mean?
You know what the hell? Probate, like sometimes people check in, and you have certain goals for certain times. And you may know that this ain't going the direction that I want to go, or I got this isn't working out. It doesn't happen often, but there's some people who have these conversations, and that's one of the criteria. One of the ways they say they end up departing because they put everything out there, and then they're like, okay, we're 6 months into it. Now what's next, or whatever the case is.
Mm-hmm.
I'm
Okay,
more of
now
a
I
laid back,
understand a little bit.
laid back, go with the flow type of thing. But like I said, if it's too much drama, eventually I know for myself that I ain't about to do that. I only like drama from kids, because they still need to be schooled on
200
that.
kids.
Yeah, they still need to be schooled on how to handle certain things. But adults over 25, when your brain is supposedly fully developed, we ain't about to do that too often. We ain't about to go through that merry-go-round.
Yeah, but everybody deals with things different, based on the relationship. I deal with things different. I want to know. Like if I give 110% and then all of a sudden a month, 2 months later, then you decide you want to show your feelings. I'm like, I'm already done now. I
But who,
already gave you
when
110%
you say
for
110%, that's what you think you're giving. Do you check in with him and do they may say that's only 80% or whatever the case is.
okay, well, I give a lot of effort. I'll say that. Okay. And if they're holding back and then all of a sudden 2 months later they decide, oh, okay, it's safe to show my feelings now, I'm probably gonna be like, well, it's too late now. I'm tired. I'm emotionally tired. So we're gonna have that conversation face to face. But I'm a little different. I like face to face. Um I don't know what you call it. I like validation that, like what really happened, like what really went wrong. Because I'm the curious, inquisitive type of person.
You're calling me up.
I
And
think people
sometimes I have
forget
to do a self check on how other people perceive me, because I may not realize. I like to do a self check.
I think people forget that sometimes, or that people have a right not to like you.
True.
I think you know what I'm saying. We get into
True.
relationships and we get to questioning about what went wrong and why. When people have an absolute right not to like you, or not to like what you're doing, even when you are doing your absolute best. It's not, it's like when they say beauty is in the eye of the beholder. What was pretty to you or handsome to you may not be to the next person. So when I think they got off on this thing about a good man and a good woman. What it really doesn't make any difference, I guess. If I think I'm a good woman, it really matters to the man that I'm presenting myself to. If he believes that I'm a good woman, because what I consider to be good may not be someone else's perception, And I think sometimes we want to know why. When people are being cheated on, the first thing, well, was she prettier than me? Was he cuter than me? Was the sex better? Everybody always wants to know why. And sometimes we're just not entitled to that answer. We just we don't have to answer if we don't want to. The fact that we just said no should be enough, but it very seldom goes that way.
And also,
And
just
here's
because
what it
you
boils
date
down
somebody
to.
doesn't mean that they're the right fit for you. You can be
Absolutely.
both two good people, but it doesn't mean that you're two good people
Absolutely.
that belong together. So I get that, but I like to know like his mindset. Like I'm inquisitive, that's all.
Yeah.
I like to
There ain't
know
no wrong
things.
with that.
For me, it doesn't matter. If I'm thinking I'm giving 110% and he rates it at 80%, that's absolutely his right. That does not mean that I have to stick around, because I'm going to give you what I have to give. If I only have 80% to give, that's 100%, because that's all I have. So at the end of the day, sometimes you just have to take things into account, okay? If you can tell me whatever you want to tell me, because I'm breaking up with you. So if I'm breaking up with you, I have to take everything you say with a grain of salt, because I don't know if you literally are out to just hurt my feelings at this point, or to make me feel bad because I decided you're not the choice for me. That's why I say, hey, if it's not working for you, it's not working for me. At the end of the day, it's not going to matter, because no matter what he says, it's still a done deal. So I don't, he might say you just never know what you might get from people. I don't want to know. I'm just not that person for you. I don't feel bad about that. I'm not that woman for you. You're not the man for me. For me, it's nothing to be bad. I'm not judging you. I'm not passing the judgment on you. I just realize that you do not fit to my life. So we can part our ways, and if you got some parting things you want to say, feel free to speak on them. But that does not mean I'm going to value them at this point. This is a done deal. So that's why I'm kind of like Rebecca with that. You absolutely have the right to dislike me. You absolutely have the right to not choose me. I absolutely have the right to not choose you. And I absolutely have the right to take control over my life and who's in it. So at the end of the day, it really does not too much for me matter what they're going to say.
All right. Gonna bring in Brolic T. What's good?
Good evening, everybody.
Hold up. First question is, where's Mama T at?
She said, "Mama."
Mama T.
All right. I just wanted to know, was she around? Was she good?
She said she's trying to be
Right.
good.
And
She
she's
called
gonna have
herself.
to become a permanent part of the show. Tell her she can't just jump on here and then leave when she wants to. We want to hear what she has to say.
I had
She
to
said she
acknowledge
was
her.
trying to. She said she was trying to be good tonight. She was trying to sit over there and watch a movie and stay out of the way.
My bad.
But
My
she was
bad.
sitting up here. She was sitting like, you know, when Rebecca was talking, she goes, that goes. She Rebecca said something, and she said that goes back to what I said last week about how women have the power of life and death. Because a man will kill you when he can't have your pussy no more. He'll kill another man if you give it to him in hell. He'll kill himself sometimes. So
That's true.
you know, that's true. And as far as like relationships go, I've only had 2 people break up with me twice in my life. Literally twice in my life. No, I'm lying. That's 3 times in my life. Twice when I was in my teens. One guy just
We can't hear you.
She muted herself.
sorry. I've had 3 breakups in my life where somebody else initiated it. Twice in my teens, once as an adult. In my teens, one boy broke up with me because I didn't smoke weed or do any of the kind of shit that he was into. So, you know, we clearly just weren't perfectly yoked. So I was cool with that. I wasn't about to start smoking shit just so I could hang around him.
Right.
No thanks. Another person, he just had some ish. Well, we were on 2 different paths. I'll say that. What he wanted and what I wanted didn't match. So that's why we went our separate ways. And when I was in college, I dated somebody who we were on different paths. He wanted me to drop out of college and get married and have babies. And yeah, that wasn't happening for me. I wanted to get my degree because God forbid you wake up one morning and do like my dad and decide that you don't want to be married no more. Now we got these kids and I don't have a way to take care of myself and my children. I need a degree to fall back on. I need something that I can do that I can fall back on, because that was a cautionary tale for me growing up on what not to do and how to avoid situations like that. I wasn't going to put myself in the same damn boat. I remembered that growing up, and I was just like, hell no. Nah. So when he brought that out to me, and I was just like, nope. And he decided that, okay, since you don't want to do what I want you to do, we're not gonna make it. That's fine. And it's crazy because me and him ran into each other years later, and he said to me, you know, I should have waited till you were ready. He says to me, I should have waited until you were ready to get married and do all of those things. He goes, because what I ultimately chose in the path that I went down didn't work out for me either way. And I was like, well, you know, these are the breaks sometimes. I'm sorry it didn't work out the way you planned, but, you know, I'm happy to see you survived it all and you're still alive. I mean, what else could I say? I wasn't going to say, oh, let's give it another shot, because no, sir. Once that ship has sailed, that ship has sailed. I have broken up with people in my life. I broke up with somebody who couldn't keep his dick in his pants. And I wasn't going to sit around and, I mean, when you talk about head over heels in love with somebody, there were a lot of shit that I put up with that me on a normal day wouldn't put up with at all. I mean, he went out, had an affair, made a baby with somebody and everything. And I kept taking his punk ass back. And then one day I woke up and I said, you know what, it's not you, it's me. I don't know what the fuck I'm here for and why I keep taking you back, because clearly you are not worth my time. And clearly, in the 8 years we've been together, I'm the one who has given way more to this relationship than you ever did. And it's time for me to get the fuck out of your way and get you the hell out of my way. And then it's like the minute I decided to walk away, all of a sudden he want to kiss my ass and work things out. Hell nah, you had 8 years. Ain't shit to talk about now. Get off my phone. Go talk to your girlfriend. Go talk to your girlfriend and all them other hoes you chasing around and get out of my face.
I don't care who you talk to, just don't talk to me.
And that was my thing. Like, got a woman over there, go be in her face and leave me the hell alone. You had 8 years and you couldn't get right in those 8 years. It's nothing to talk about now because that ship has sailed. I am officially tired of your ass and I don't want no more. And that's just that. And that's the truth of the matter. And it's sad because we have 2 children together, but I'm all for the co-parenting. I'm all for the co-parenting. We can be civil for the sake of our children, but other than that, ain't no me, ain't no you, ain't no talking about that shit. And don't bring it up because you're gonna get your ass cussed out. Like, don't even waste my time with that bullshit.
All right, I'm gonna read this comment from this old wise man. What he said about relationships. He said the wise old man stated that love is the foundation of relationships, but at a certain point, love stops being enough. When you have serious financial issues, infidelity and trust issues, communication issues, domestic violence, and differential in parenting styles. These are just a few to name. He stated, don't ever think that love will get you through a relationship. It brings you together, but communication, timing, proper spacing, and balance keeps it all together. So, Herb, I'm going to let you tackle what the old wise man said. And what's your take on it?
Disagreement from me. The top 2 reasons for divorce are infidelity and financial issues. This is why when we brought up the topic of the book that you read from the lady, the top 3 things about discussion, I included finances in there. Now, some people railed against that and said I wouldn't divulge that. To me, that's a red flag. Because if that's the top 2 reasons for the end of a marriage, then why would you not want to have that on the table? I tell people from day one, this is what my finances are. This is what my long-term goals are. This is where I'm at. This is what I plan to do. And I understand some people are uncomfortable with that. And if you're uncomfortable with that, then I don't need to be around you. That's just my take, my stance. That's not applicable for everyone. So the old wise man is giving us some sage wisdom. And I always tell people, when you deal with me, you don't get a mask. And I think that's the problem that a lot of people struggle with is, am I dating this person's representative or am I dating them? And in the age of social media, I always tell people, go look at what that person posts, what they share, what they talk about, how they talk about it, because that will give you an insight into them. And when I say them, I'm talking them, their mentality. A lot of people say, well, you can't glean anything like that. I can glean a lot about a person and what they talk about, what they post, who posts, how those people post. If things get out of line, they get too far left, they get too far right, and that person doesn't come back in there and correct them. From time to time, when I post things that I know that could have the potential to be inflammatory, and they can get reactions from nasty to just very nasty, I post a disclaimer. If you can't post on the topic without attacking somebody, without demeaning them, don't post. I will delete your post, and if necessary, I will remove you from the post. A lot of people don't realize there's a function on Facebook that allows you to censor a post from people that are on your friends list, and they can remain on your friends list. The post will be invisible to them. I employ that function often because I get a lot of people that can't come on and have discussions about topics that are kind of incendiary, or they can be. So I always tell people, if you can't sit down and have a discussion without invoking hatred, disdain, or dislike for the people that are commenting, not even what they're saying, I don't like this person, so anytime they post, I'm going to try and attack them. Don't post. Don't come on my post, because I'm going to tell you, you're not welcome here. And if I have to block you, I'll block you. So All those things I tell people when I say these things, I want you to employ them. This is why I always say, post these questions, these scenarios on your face, on your timeline. And people will tell you because people feel free on social media to be more of who they are. So if you got somebody that's an asshole, they're gonna be more of an asshole. If you got somebody that's kind, they're gonna be more kind. I always say that, and people rarely take me up on it. I'm an open book when it comes to most things. There are some things that I'm absolutely not going to share. So when I say that, take it at face value. It's not because I don't want to share. It's just because I feel it's none of your business. And I'll tell you that flat out. Some people don't like that. Well, he's being secretive. No, keeping my business is not being secretive. There's just some things that everybody's not supposed to know about me. Period. Just like I said, I gave the key to somebody. I have absolutely no problem giving the key to a woman that I'm dating. Why? Because I vet the women that I deal with thoroughly. That is never a problem, never will be an issue. So if a woman that I'm dealing with, if a woman that I'm bedding down with, I can't give a key, then I don't need to be sleeping with her. That's just period. But that's because I vet females thoroughly.
Well, here's my thing about being able to use social media to judge who a person is. The reason why you're using social media has to be counted in there. And I'll use this as an example. I do a lot of my business stuff on Facebook. So if you look down my timeline, you'll see some family things, you'll see business things, and you'll probably catch a couple of laughs. What that Facebook post would not tell you is whether or not I'm an absolutely terrible money manager. Because if you're looking at my post, I'm making money hand over fist rather. I'm not a terrible money manager. Just let me throw that out there, because my husband wouldn't go for that. If I was, I wouldn't even marry. However, with that being said, social media, it can only give you a glimpse of a certain portion of an individual, and for me, I never gave a key out because I just don't feel like you should have 24-hour access to me. I'm not married to you. You're not married to me. I might not want to smell your breath today. And I say, no, don't come over. And you feel like something's going on. And now here you come. It just may be like, I don't want man funk around me today. I just never, that for me, it's not even about the vetting. Yes, you do need to know your people. Absolutely know your people.
Scorpio
I just
T.
have never been a person that would.
Good. I'm not trying to cut you off, but you just brought
It
thought resident. Huh?
It looked that way, Dave.
But it wasn't like that. It was just to follow up on something you said. So when you say you don't feel like you don't want that person to come over, would you take it the same way? Because if you tell a man, no, I just don't want to see you today, and he's supposed to say, okay, and he come over anyway, would you take it the same way if a man said that to you? Like, no, I don't feel like being bothered.
Absolutely. I'll tell people when I don't feel like talking on the phone, I don't feel like talking today. That's not an accusation against you. This is something that's going on with me. I don't feel like being bothered. And because it's not your fault, I don't want to subject you to my nasty attitude. So it will be in your best interest to stay where you are. So if he says to me, listen, today ain't that day. Okay. It's not a problem. It's not that big a problem. I don't think I have to see you every day. I'm not married to you. You know what I'm saying? I'm already this. I don't have a problem with that. I have told that, and I still do that right now to this day. If I'm having an internal issue, because you have to recognize who you are also. If I'm having an internal issue, I don't want to subject anybody to that. Let me work this issue out, and then you see me when I'm in a better state. You understand what I'm saying? Because not respecting your own boundaries leads to additional problems that you don't have to have. I'm not in the mood today. It has nothing to do. If you don't call me first of all and ask me to come over, you can ring my bell and I'll open my door, look at you, close my door, and go about my business, because you don't have a right to my time and my presence just because. give me the respect of picking up the phone and calling me and saying, hey, what are you doing? Because I'm going to do the same thing for you. I'm not going to just pop up at your house because I think that's disrespectful. But in terms of social media and things like that, you have to always bear in mind that people are really comfortable with being who they're not on social media. I have seen people that I know in real life, they wouldn't fight their way through a paper bag with a hole in it. But they get on Facebook and they be Facebook thugging like it's nobody's business. And if they thought they ran across that person, they gonna take flight. They'll be on the next Southwest Airlines. They'll be moving so fast getting out of there. So you can absolutely be whoever you are on social media. There's a few of us who are just who we are on and off social media. It's just what it is. I don't know how to be anybody else besides me. And I'm gonna be me wherever I am because this is who I am. You know what I'm saying? So a part of that you have to really take into account. Some people use social media as booty calls. So if you're a person that's using, you're not going to post anything that's going to turn somebody off because you want people to come to you because you're using it as your booty call platform, so on and so forth. So the reason why people are using that, you have to take social media with a grain of salt.
But that's exactly what I'm speaking about. If you get an individual that always speaks in one particular manner, then you more than likely, given the information that you have just about how you think, you can, at least I can, I'll say that much. I will be able to discern whether that person is full of shit. If a person only posts one way all the time, there's a very good likelihood that that individual is portraying, pardon me, a facade that they really aren't in real life. And that's what I'm talking about. Like I said, when I get a friend's request, if a person has a closed off profile, more than likely I'm not going to accept the friend's request because they're not open. I'm not saying they have to be, but to be around me, I need an air of openness. So the only way that you are actually allowing somebody into your life is, or at least into your social media realm, is for them to be on your friends list, then I don't need to be associated with you. One of the reasons why my Facebook profile is open to anyone, with the exception of you being blocked. So you don't need to be on my friends list to see what I post. You don't need to be on my friends list to see what the topic of conversation that I've shared. I made that applicable when I ran for city council in 2011. I said, if I'm going to run for a public office, then I need to be as transparent as humanly possible. This is why my personal life never hits that. For those people who want to know about me personally, you have to establish that type of rapport. It has to be agreed that we are going to be that open with each other. This is why some people get certain access to me and other people don't. They say, why? I said, because I've determined it to be so. Everybody's
Well, you have to
going
think too. You have to think too that you may be in a position to do that. Remember, I told y'all about when I first got on Facebook, I didn't know a lot. And I had some random guy call me and say, hey, I'm in your city. Where you live? I didn't know him from a can of paint. So some things you have to take into consideration. Some people, things are closed off because they have certain issues that they're dealing with or trying not to deal with. Like
hold on.
in one of the
Huh?
groups that I add in, I do have some people that were victims of domestic abuse, male and female. That group is private for that very reason because that's their place of safety. So you still might not be able to really glean who someone is because whether the profile is open or not.
I'm
That's why I
not
say take
saying
it
it.
with a grain of salt.
I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is, if an individual has a closed off profile, then I don't want them around me. I'm not saying they don't have a valid reason for it. What an individual chooses to do is that individual's right. I'm saying I don't want to be a party to it. So yes, an individual could have had a past issue with domestic violence, whether it's male or female. I'm just simply saying I don't want to be a party to it because more than likely that's something that you have to deal with. I don't want to deal with somebody else's issue. I just simply flat out don't. So if you have some issues that you need to get resolved, I would tell you get them resolved before you start dealing with with people in a certain manner.
I think
People
a
say,
lot
well,
of times Facebook is a privacy matter. Not everybody can see my friends, not everybody can see my posts unless it's public. Because I don't feel the need for somebody that I don't know to be all up in my business. And that's just me. So if you want to be in my business and I actually know you, then I'll consider you being my Facebook friend. But other than that, I don't think you need access to me. Just like you say, not everybody deserves access to you. But you say you're open, but you're not open about everything because not everybody deserves access. Right?
I'm my personal life. There's two aspects to me. There's what I do publicly, which everybody should be entitled to. And then there's my personal life. I've said this once before, that not everyone is entitled to my personal life. Don't conflate the two. I work in the public. I do fundraising. I sit as a treasurer for a public organization. Those aspects are always available to people. But when it comes to who I'm dating, what I'm doing in my personal time, the public is not invited to that. I
And
want
that's
people
why
to
your stuff
understand.
is private, right?
No, it doesn't hit Facebook. I don't
Okay.
put who I date on there. I don't put where I go. I don't even check into places. That's what I'm talking about. Don't conflate the two. My public life or any aspect of it never hits Facebook. Some people put that on there. This is one of the discussions that we had was, do you believe in sharing your marital status or things of that nature? I don't, because it's a private matter. So if I do get married, the people that will know will be the people that we've told. That's what I talk about when I say public versus private. There are celebrities that we know nothing about their private life. They want it that way because they don't want people in their private life. This is why when they have something tragic, they say respect our privacy. People seem to think the two merge, and the people that don't understand the boundaries between a personal life and a personal life, they are often met with hostility. And believe me, I have absolutely no problem with being hostile towards someone who wants to intercede into a place where I tell them you don't belong. I will tell them in no uncertain
Then you
terms,
can't.
no uncertain terms, back up. That's not your position.
Well, then you can't say I'm an open book, because
I
by that
can't say
statement alone, it makes
I
you
can't
not.
say I'm an open
Wait a
book.
minute. Wait a minute, Herb. What I'm saying is you can't say then you're an open book, because by that statement alone, when you say that you don't have access to this, you're not an open book, and that's okay. When you say I absolutely have the right to keep things private, you absolutely do, and that includes your profile. Nobody, unless you just really want people in your closet and walking down memory lane and doing a bunch of other unnecessary things, should have access to everything. But as far
And that
as social
and that and
media,
that's and that's precisely what I'm talking about. Right there, you said
as
they
far
should.
as
Why should they? Give me a valid reason why somebody should know who I'm dating.
as far
So
as social media,
are both your profiles public? Everybody can
Yeah.
see everything
The one is for the
unless you
mentoring
block
program, the
them.
other is my personal. The one is for the mentoring program, the other is my personal profile. There's one.
as
There's
far
one
as
that has
social,
the mentoring pro. Hold on, the mentoring program is usually stuff that's restricted just for the mentoring program. And the profile pictures are different. The one that says Herbert Lewis is open. I've said this time and time again. That's why I ask, give me a one good reason why somebody should know what's going on in my personal life. One good reason.
for,
Then
for the
that doesn't constitute that you're an open book.
It's
so if
not
you're
for
running for
public
office,
consumption. Like I said, you're
so
conflating the two because women want to know what's going on in
It's
everybody's
not
life. So
conflicting
they
when
can
you
have,
say
no,
that
I
I am
don't
an
really
open
care about
book.
what's going on in
You
everybody's life.
cannot be,
But when you make
see,
the
an
statement
open
like
book
I'm
is
running for public office and
one
people
at a
I
time.
should be an open book. People listen, presidents, their wives are known. Whoever the holds in office, whoever they're with, that's a known fact, because that's an extension of you. So when people are
It
looking
is
at
not.
you in terms of,
It
let me
is not.
finish. Let me finish. When people are looking at you in terms of public office, as you stated, then whoever you're dating is an extension of you. That's why
It
they
is
have
not.
first lady. That's why they have first vice president, so on and so forth. So that just
It
goes without
isn't.
saying. If you run for a public office, I need to see all facets of your life
No,
because
no,
I
you
need to
don't.
know if you hold the same values that I hold. I need to know that if I send you to office, you're going to fight for my values. So if you're showing me only a
You-
one-dimensional picture of yourself, then I don't know who you are, and I don't know if you get my vote. I mean, that's the mentality behind that.
You want me to tell you why that position is flawed? Is that
Feel
me
free.
frozen or is that?
Go for it.
You're not frozen. Go ahead.
President Kennedy, the most beloved president, one of the most beloved presidents in U.S. history, was a known philanderer. If he was alive right now, people would vote for him. It was widely known he was having affairs, him and his brother. People
Was his
love him
wife
People knew,
because
from
but
the
people
public?
knew that, like you
But
said,
then,
people
exactly,
people
but
knew
people
that.
his
knew
wife
that. That's
knew.
the whole point. People
That
knew
that's
His
the
that
wife
point.
knew.
everybody knew
But that's what they're
exactly
saying,
the
Herbert, is
point.
that people
See,
actually knew this.
What?
They knew this
exactly.
What?
despite the
It
fact.
wasn't a secret.
No, no,
That's
no,
the
no,
part
no.
that you are missing.
It's
People
it's
knew that he
it's
was out there doing his thing in the streets behind his wife's back. It wasn't no
it's
secret.
known.
That's why
It's
people still
known.
voted for him, because it was known. They knew what they were getting in bed with when they voted for him. It wasn't a secret.
It's
It wasn't like,
it's
oh, I
known
happily love my
now.
wife
No, people
and
knew
we're
back
this
then what he
perfect
was up
and
to.
Okay.
we're this perfect union, and then all of a sudden the scandal comes out because I'm getting head in the Oval Office from some chick that nobody even knew about. Like, he didn't
I said
perpetrate that I'm this
I said
perfect person.
President Kennedy. I
And
said
that's what
President
I'm
Kennedy.
talking
Yeah,
about. Kennedy did not
people knew he was
perpetrate
doing
that he
dirt.
wasn't a perfect person, like some other people come into office and say, hey, I'm this perfect person, I'm this perfect adoring husband, and I'm this great father. And then later down the line, you find out he's not even what he said he was. Because look at what he's doing behind closed doors. He wasn't upfront about his shit. Kennedy, he couldn't lie about it. Everybody knew. And people knew it. And back in that day, it wasn't a big deal for a man to have a woman on the side or two women on the side. Nobody gave a fuck about that. They still voted for him because they were going based on his policies, not what he did behind closed doors. So you cannot sit
But
up
And
here
not
and
only
say that you are an open book, but then there are chapters that nobody's allowed to read. I don't know if you've ever run for a job in government, but when you go for a job in government, they get all in your damn business. All
Sure
in
do.
your business.
the I'll put
and
it to you
that's
like
what I
this.
meant when I said that's
Hold on,
exactly
wait a
what I
minute.
meant.
Wait a minute. I'll
Even
put it
with
to you like this.
Jackie Kennedy.
I'll put it to you like this. I ran for public office 4 times. 4.
Did you win?
Count.
No.
4 times. My personal life has never been a question. Never.
Well, let me ask you this question: did you
You
win
must
when you
not have
ran
been a
those 4
serious
times?
candidate.
No, wait a
No, I
minute. I
didn't
want to
win.
know the answer. Did you win when you ran?
No.
Herb? Okay, so does it not compute to your mind that it could be for that very thing you said? When presidents, and
No.
you pointed out Kennedy. Wait a
No.
minute, let me finish. You pointed
I know
out
what you're
Kennedy,
doing,
right?
and the answer is no.
How you know where I'm going
Yeah,
if I ain't
funny.
finished talking? You
Because
don't know what I'm gonna
I
say.
didn't know he was
But
in
the
your mind.
assumption
let
that
me
you
respond,
think you know
and I'll
is
answer
one of
your
those
question.
things that I be talking about.
Let
When
me
you were
respond,
talking,
and
I
I'll
got
answer your
quiet and I
question.
listened. You
Let me
can't
respond,
answer a
and I'll
question
answer
I
your
didn't ask.
question.
You
I
can't
guarantee you,
answer
I'll
a
cover.
question I
I
haven't finished asking.
guarantee you that I will cover what you're going to ask. You're going to ask if people knew that I was a family man, they knew I had kids, they knew, et cetera, would they have voted for me?
I
And I'm
wasn't
telling
gonna
you,
ask that. Thank you very much for thinking you know me
okay.
enough to know what I'm thinking. That
So go
wasn't
ahead,
what I
man.
was gonna ask. But since you know the answer to the question that's unasked, feel free to answer it.
Okay, then
Go
go
right
ahead. Then
ahead.
I'm
I'll
wrong.
wait.
Go ahead. Then I'm
I'll
wrong.
wait.
The reason why I didn't win
I'll
was
wait though,
people.
because this is what
The,
happens all the time. You don't even get to finish the thought before you answer a question that's not asked. I'm
you're asking.
saying when I was telling you, just like Brolic T said, what was known about Kennedy was known, but his wife was not hidden. They had the opportunity to check her out, to see what her values are, to see how she dealt with what he's doing to see if she would be a great representative for us, because it is known that the first lady always takes up some issue. Is she a person that we can follow? It needs to be known. That's what I'm saying.
And
So you're-
also, I have a
Okay,
question.
hold on, Anita. You're asking if I won, correct? What does that
I
have to
asked
do with my
if you won,
personal?
you said no. I
Correct.
asked
What
if
does
you
that have-
won, you
hold on.
said no.
Wait a minute. What does that have to do with my personal life?
Do
That's
people
the
know
point.
that when you mentor people that you don't like single mothers?
What does that have
No.
to do with me running for public office?
Because if I knew
has
that and I was
everything
a
to
single
do with
mother,
it.
I wouldn't vote for you.
That's fine.
And
It has
and
every-
But the
That's
vast
like
majority
Single
of people that
mothers
didn't
vote
vote for
too,
me
just
didn't
so you
vote for-
know.
Here's the
I
reason
think,
why
I think
that's
what
important.
everybody is trying to say is, because I swear hell must be getting ready to freeze over, because a part of this I agree with him about. I believe that everybody should have a part of their life that they don't share with other people. You know, when you're a celebrity, they be all up in the damn delivery room with you, all types of raggedy shit. So I do agree that you should have some sense of privacy. Nobody should know every damn thing about you unless you want them to know.
Then don't.
Now, with that being
But
said,
the
with that being,
difference
wait a
is that
minute. With that being said, when you run for public office, like them,
I'm a public
I
figure.
agree. You have to be an open book from page to page, because you are trying to elicit a vote. And if you want to reach the masses, that's why you have people out there kissing babies. They show up at bakeries and they be getting their hair cut to show that they're one of the people. And if you're not willing to show people that, hey, I got kids. You know, I'm a dad too. I know what the struggle is. I'm a mom. Hey, I know what the struggle is. I'm Catholic. I believe in God. I pray. Whatever it is, you have to be willing to do that. Now, he's absolutely right. It's his choice whether or not he wants to share that information. But what you may not get a vote because of that, and it
And
may
that's
not
what
have
I'm
been
saying.
brought up to you publicly or privately, like, hey, we don't know you, that's why you can't get our vote. And maybe it was, maybe it wasn't, maybe you care, maybe you don't. And I think that's what they're trying to say is, you say that you're an open book, and if you really mean that, be that. And if you don't want to be an open book, that's fine too. That is perfectly your choice. Just don't say something and not really mean it, because you're not an open book. You know you're not an open book, and that is perfectly fine. But if you're running for a public office, just like she said, they be all up in your business. They want to know everything, and then they want to know everything about that. And that's just the way it is. There's not a politician out there that won't tell you. They dug so far back that they found out that somebody has something. They went blackface when they were in college, and this man was like 60 years old. I mean, they dig so
Yep.
damn far back in your history, they gonna find out anyway, whether you wanted to or not, because all you need is one disgruntled friend to call your ass out and say, hey, you know, he ain't shit or she ain't shit. But I think the base of what they're trying to say is that if you're not an open book, so stop saying that you are.
All right, newsflash.
And to add to that, what I meant by that,
Let me
what I
lay
mean-
this out. Let me lay this out. When I went door to door across the city, it was known that I was single, no kids. It was known. I made that publicly known. So there's no ambiguity in terms of me being married, unmarried, or having no kids. That was never a secret. Everybody knew that.
So you
But was
did
it
let the
known that
Hold on,
when
wait a
you
minute.
mentor
Hold on,
Let me
children,
interject this.
then you
Hold on.
don't like
Hold
single
on, wait a
mothers?
minute. Wait a minute.
No.
Let me
My-
interject something, Herb.
Hold on, wait a minute. My stance with regards to who I date is a personal decision. It has no bearing on policy, because the people that I would have been helping were those single mothers. But because you guys don't understand how intricately things are ran in this city, and the power structure and how it is, you view things in a certain manner, and I understand that. I'm not going to stand in the way of that. The
We
reasons
don't
why
view
I didn't
things
win.
in a certain
wait a
manner,
minute.
but if you
Let
come
me
out and
respond to
openly
this.
say, that black single mothers are the
I
damn
never said that.
destruction of poor. I'm
I've
just
never
saying.
said that.
I'm just saying.
But hold on, wait a
You
minute.
you
If
have
you're
very
going to
strong
make an
opinions
argument
on black
on
single
things that I've
mothers. You have
said,
very
then make them
strong
about
negative
things that I have
opinions
said.
on black single mothers. Very strong.
Let
I've
me
never said
interject
that.
this.
And
I've
Let
no,
me
no, no, no,
co-signing a
no.
lot of
I am
statements.
not going to sit.
Let
I'm not going
Scorpio
to sit here
T
and have my
interject
Yeah,
real
position
you had
quick.
a
against the rock.
whole panel of men, and you
And,
sat there and
let
co-signed right
let
with
me
them
Yeah.
about
we
how
never,
black
let,
and
children of
never
single moms didn't
distinguished,
deserve
and we
anything. You
never
wouldn't give
distinguished an
anything
ethnicity.
to anybody that wasn't related to you.
A
You've
room
gone
full of
on and
black
We
men,
on
it's
about
kind
never
of
that.
hard to
distinguished
And
an
distinguish
so
ethnicity. So
if
I'm
you
ethnicity,
not
don't
going to
make
sit
all
here and let
any
somebody
ethnicity is kind of
excuse,
mischaracterize
acknowledge
my
uncoded.
when
position. I'm
people are
not going to do
voting
it.
for you, why would anybody
I'm not
believe
going to
that
do it.
every
I would
Because that's
really
what
policy
you
like
that
to
you
Oh,
have
said.
is
interject.
hold
going to
up.
hurt
I'm not
somebody
going to
like
do it.
me?
I
I'm
know
not
I
going to
I
do
would
it.
really like to
You don't have to
interject
do it. You've
something.
already said it.
I'm not going to.
It's
I'm
not
not
like
going to
you
allow
have
Hold
to
people
on,
to
do
Rebecca. Let
anything.
mischaracterize my
Scorpio T say
position
what she got to say.
I want to
because
say
people are
that
trying to
this to
mischaracterize my position.
Ain't
I'm
nobody
not going
trying
to
to
allow
miss
that to happen.
nothing. You've said this shit over
I'm
and over and
talking.
over
I'm
again.
talking. Hey,
Rebecca, let
Rebecca,
Scorpio
let me,
T
because
talk.
I
how,
really want to ask this question. I really want to point this out. When you become a public figure, it's public. This is the difference between a private citizen and a public citizen. When you're a public individual, you have a target on your back for every aspect of your life. This is why personal people don't run for public office. So you cannot choose to have the private version of yourself and a public version. This is what I'm saying. When I asked you if you won, I was
Scorpio T.
trying I'm not done talking yet.
Hold
I was
on.
trying to get you to
Let me ask you.
understand
You
or
can
to see.
continue.
I'm not
I
going to
just
hold
want to
on
ask.
until I'm finished with my statement.
I just want to ask
You
you a question
always do that.
so you can open up more.
You can ask a
Let,
question when she.
What
let
was
me
it about?
finish my
You
statement.
still can.
Sir.
I just want to
Be
put this in there.
You can ask your
respectful.
question when she
You
done.
can wait
just
Damn.
let her
until I'm
finish.
done
Let her
talking.
finish it, then.
Yeah, that's rude.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is that as a private person, you absolutely have every right to not divulge anything you don't want to divulge. Abso-freaking-lutely. And that it doesn't matter what it is because you're a private individual. When you're a public person, you have to have every aspect of your life put under a microscope. And the thing about that, the reason why that is because people want to know that you reflect their values. You ran on a platform that you're a single man with no children. So
No, I
as a
did not.
woman, I'm
I
wondering,
did
let me
not.
finish. Okay, well,
But you're
that was what you said.
mischaracterizing, and this is my point.
That was
I
what you
didn't run on
said.
that
So
platform.
as a
I said it
woman,
was disclosed that I was. That wasn't the platform. You don't know what my platform is. So how were you telling me what my platform was?
Look, at
because
the end of
you
the day,
said it.
what she hold on,
That no,
I get
What
what
I'm
I
no,
never
saying,
hold
said
on,
what
hold on,
my
hold on, hold on, hold
platform
on, hold on,
was.
hold on. Let me put this out there. Let me put this out there.
I never said
What
what my
she's
platform
basically
was.
saying is like what she said to you last week. You said that it was publicly known that you're a single man with no children, correct?
Correct.
And you're running in a city where it's predominantly families, right? You ain't got a
No,
dog in the
that's
fight,
not
so why
correct.
would somebody
That's
vote for
not
you? So
correct.
that's not correct. So it's mostly what? Single men, single women.
There are a
Single
lot of
mothers.
elderly people. There are a lot of elderly people in the city. This city is comprised probably about 33% of
Are
all
they
elderly
married?
people.
Are they married?
No,
They're not married.
Are they single
no.
So there's a
mothers?
bunch of single
Widowers,
elderly people running around your city, right?
widows and
and,
widowers.
Okay, so
and
it's a
so
bunch of
this is
widows
what
and
I was
widows,
trying
right?
to say.
And we're
This is
talking
what
about
I
a
was
young
trying to
single
say.
man
How do
representing
I
elderly
know?
people. Either way, he
With
ain't got a
things
dog in the
being
fight.
with things being closed off, how do I know if you're going to reflect the values that I need you to reflect for me? This is the difference between public office and private office. We vote for a councilman based on who they are and what they stand for. We vote on our councilwoman based on who she is, and let's say if her husband is a criminal. So my idea is she going to go hard on criminal things? Because her husband is married, her husband is a criminal, she's going to give them a pass. I don't know that without things being divulged to me. So if you come to my door and knock on my door and say, hey, I'm a single man with no children, I'm running for office, and I just want you to know that I will represent you the best way possible. The first thought that's going to come to mind is how? I don't fit into any category that I think that you would have value for me. I'm a single mother. I have a family. I'm doing this or doing that. I'm a small business owner. I don't know that without full disclosure. And that's the point that I was making when I said, when you become a public figure, you no longer have the option to be private because you became a public figure. Celebrities have their entire life invaded because they're public figures. And there's nothing they can do about that. They can go back to when you was 2 years old and say you took your diaper off and pulled it off and watered a flower, and this is a problem for me. This is all I was saying. I was asking you if you made the correlation between trying to be a public figure and a private figure at the same time may have impacted the results for you, which is why you didn't win. That was all I'm
And
trying to say.
I'm telling you, it didn't.
How
But
do you
because
know it didn't?
I don't know how y'all got on how we going on this particular subject area about
what,
private
hold on,
figures
Desi.
and
What else
you
do
want
we
me to-
have to talk about?
Hold on, wait a minute. I'm gonna lay this all out. Niagara Falls is ran by 3 entities: city workers, school board workers, and those people who are related to them. I was viewed as an outsider, so no matter if I had family or anything, I wasn't viewed as part of the connected group. So
I'll
I
agree
was
with
fighting.
I don't think so.
I'll agree
You don't
with
have
that.
to. You can ask anybody who's ran for a
It's
position in the
true.
city, and they will tell you the same thing.
It's true.
That's why they call it the friends and family line.
It's
You don't have to
nothing but
bully me, just
nepotism in
ask.
Niagara Falls. That I'll give them that. That's true, but I still agree with everybody else. You know, when you run for public office, you have to be willing to be public too. Point blank and simple. Whether or not you chose to be really is, I guess, irrelevant. You're right. You never would have won anyway. Nobody would have won without knowing somebody. Most of the black people in Niagara Falls that were in public office were so well known to everyone, especially back in the day, were so damn well known that it just was what it was. So I'll agree with that part. But I really do agree with the rest of them that if you're running for public office, you have to be public. And Anita kept saying, perfect example, because you seem to have some sort of issue with black single women. If
And
people
once
knew
again,
that,
I've
let's say
never
you were
mentioned the
being public
demographic.
about your life, would you have disclosed those things
I
to
have
people
never
while you
mentioned
were
a
running for
demographic.
office?
So the question in and of itself is an incorrect statement.
Okay,
I've
single
never, I
mothers
never,
in
I've never
general.
mentioned a demographic. So I resent the question. I've
Okay.
never
well,
mentioned a
will
well
demographic.
let me ask this. Let's ask this, sir. And you said 2011. Was that your views and perspectives back then?
No,
I will agree
Why
that
is it now?
because
nepotism is a
I've
very
come into
real
new
thing.
information that has compelled me to change.
To change that you don't like single mothers.
That's what growth is about.
But it doesn't seem like
I
you
will
grow in the
agree.
gray areas.
So that last
I
week.
will agree with you. I will agree with you that nepotism is a very real thing. There are people who win just on the strength of the name of their family until someone comes along and says to them, hey, they telling you what you want to know. This is what I'm prepared to do. It happened in my city for two generations, maybe 3, until somebody else that was an unknown came and said, listen, this is where I'm from. I'm a parent. I got children. I work a day job. I work in whatever. And that person was able to connect with all of those people who were not feeling this nepotism thing, and they were able to be overthrown. So I do agree that nepotism is a very real thing, but you can still win something based on who you are.
I'll put it to
If
you
they
like
know
this.
who you are.
I'll put it to you like this. Nobody in this city who isn't connected has won anything.
What about
Going back 30, 40 years.
Ken Tompkins?
That's
Who's
the
he
reality.
So then the way around that is you ask
related to?
people, how has the shit, how
Yeah.
has the way the status quo has been so far? Let me shut up because I don't want
Yeah.
to talk about advice.
Y'all
on how
talking about
to do
Let's
Niagara
go on to
Falls.
the next
Y'all
I'm gonna let
talking
you
subject.
deal with
Niagara
that,
Falls.
and I'm gonna leave that alone because
a
the
little
strategic to me
morsel.
is like that's some bullshit. There's ways around that, but I'm gonna shut.
Niagara Falls breeds a certain mentality, though. You have
Yeah.
to realize
Thank you.
that.
And there's other
Thank
people
you.
that's
And he
listening
lives
that like,
there.
what the hell
So
is
he
Niagara
has a
Falls?
certain
What is Niagara
mentality
Falls?
about things.
So Niagara
You
Falls
know,
can't
And
be
everybody
focused.
got to get out of
now,
Niagara Falls
Dave,
to see different
Dave,
things.
I just agreed with him that nepotism is a very real thing, that
It
it does
is.
exist. I just agreed to him with
We
that.
already know
All
that.
I'm saying,
That's a
though, is
given.
that I'm saying that some things can be overcome with the authenticity of who you are and where you stand in life. If
And
But what I'm saying
John
is,
Blow
in
is
this
not
city, that's
representing,
not the
if
case.
John Blow is not representing what I want, and then somebody comes along and starts telling me, hey, I got you in mind, that's going to make
Listen,
me think.
listen. For future references, Niagara Falls is not the model that we're gonna talk about in this platform. That's just
No, I would.
a small segment of shit. Anything. Niagara Falls is so
Thank you.
small.
Nothing.
Yeah.
No.
So what's the
Not a
next
damn thing.
subject? What's the next
What I was,
sec-
what I was,
next
what I
subject?
was, what I was trying to demonstrate is this: even when in the public eye, everything that everybody wants to know, they aren't going to get to know about an individual. I'm saying everything, not certain things, but everything.
I think
You're
the
not
higher
gonna
the
know what-
stakes, the more
Right.
people gonna dig. When you get to a certain
Right.
level, they're gonna
Correct.
want to know more.
Correct.
Certain things they're gonna like. Well, I ain't thinking about his family or whatever the case
Correct.
is. It depends on
Correct.
the level that you at.
Correct.
So you may have never been to the point that they say we're not worried about who he's dating or whatever the
Right.
case is. If it was a tough decision, a controversy, like, oh, her right now in the preliminaries, he's at 49 and this person is at 50. Now we got to go dig deeper to try to find something when it's a close call. But
And that's
in Niagara,
exactly my point.
in Niagara Falls, they probably already know who's going to win ahead of time. That's
Yeah, they
just,
do.
yeah.
Just for the record, I wasn't speaking about Niagara Falls specifically. I was speaking on a broader term. I
I
don't
was
care about
too.
Niagara
I'm
Falls,
just
no
saying.
disrespect, because I don't live there and it
No,
doesn't
no.
affect me at this point. So I was
You don't
speaking,
wanna
when
be
I was
there.
speaking, I was speaking in terms of a broader term of a public figure, period.
The Cataract City gonna always affect y'all because never mind, I'm messing with y'all.
What's the
Yeah.
next
It ain't
subject? What's the
affecting
next
nobody except the
subject?
people who live
Move
there.
on, Anita. What's the
Pretty
next
much.
subject? Move
The
on.
next subject,
Yes.
who needs counseling? That's
You
what
What's
we're
the
do.
going
next
into.
subject?
Huh?
Everybody need counseling.
Everybody, but what's the next
You need to get a
subject?
bigger couch.
Yeah. We're gonna talk about who needs counseling. Like I said, where it comes from, posts I see or things that I read, or whatever. What is that? Oh, the Book of Obsidian. So one of the things that I came across.
Nobody can see that. Just so you know, I got on glasses and still
Yeah.
can't see that.
What are you
No,
drinking?
well, it's small.
What are you drinking?
Listen,
What's that?
y'all being distracting this segment.
Not being distracting.
So
What he clearly learned.
one of the things, the first segment of, I seen a post, and I don't know, it might have been an old post, but it was a post of a little 3-year-old girl. She wanted a haircut like her daddy. And,
Oh, Jesus.
and it got chopped down, and she had the little fade, the line up, the parts, whatever. And I guess for whatever reason, she said, I want a haircut like my daddy. Mother agreed, father agreed.
Oh,
I was totally against that. I'm totally against that.
Why?
Why am I totally against that? Because why is a 3-year-old saying, I want a haircut like my daddy? And you,
Because she
I don't
likes his
know.
Idolizes her
haircut?
father, clearly.
Huh?
Because she
She
likes his
idolizes
haircut?
her father, clearly.
you can idolize your father, but also it could be other ways that you can. Remember, I told you before, the name of the game is manipulation with kids. That's what it's about. If y'all take the word manipulation as an evil way, then you need to look further into what the word manipulation means. But to me, ain't no way in hell my 3-year-old child about to be parted up with a hedge when she, and who knows, and I'm just gonna say if she didn't have, because people say, what if she had alopecia? What if she had this and that? Let's just think if she was a regular girl with long hair, ponytails, barrettes, and all that stuff. And that in this case, and then you chop it down and she has a haircut like that. That ain't happening. That ain't happening. As an adult,
I'm
3-year-olds don't get that option to say. As a father, you would say, let me find another way to connect her with her daddy.
Right. What is the big deal?
They could have went and got matching sneakers,
like,
matching
literally,
outfits.
That's what I was going. That's where I was
Think
going,
of 1,000 different ways that she could have idolized her father that didn't result in chopping all her damn hair off her head. But that's
where I was going.
Just hair.
I'm the mom who would be like, hey,
what's the big deal?
let's do this instead of doing that. Because
that's where I was going with it.
But I'm just saying, what's the big deal? It's just hair. What's the big deal?
That's terrible.
It'll grow back.
No, but at the age of 3, you're still a child. You're seen and not heard. At the age of 3. I wish my 3-year-old child would come and get a haircut. You gonna sit your little nappy ass here? I'm gonna braid it.
Well, apparently her parents agreed to it because she got the haircut. So,
but you know what? Here's
except for her parents.
But see, listen. Here's my thing. Hindsight is 20/20. Y'all went and y'all cut her hair off, and now this little 3-year-old has to go to school. And kids nowadays are so much more fucking meaner than they were in our generation. These kids are terrible. How do I know? I work with them every day. They say the most trifling things to each other, and that is a direct dig to the first thing they're gonna say. And David know, because he worked with them too. First thing they're gonna tell her, and these kids are mean. Oh, you bald head now. You look like a boy, this and that. Now your 3-year-old has to deal with this because you went and decided that it was okay to cut her hair off because she wants to look like daddy. Now when people are picking on her, you want to
deal with it if the teacher won't intervene on her behalf.
Teacher don't catch everything. Teacher don't catch everything.
What we not gonna do is blame the teacher. Because guess what? I can't control somebody else's mouth. The only mouth I can control is mine. I can put all the rules on here about using kind words. I can use, and I'm not trying to. All I'm saying is there are consequences for every action. There's a reaction. So here it is. Y'all cut her hair off. Now she's being picked on.
She just got her damn hair cut.
She's 3. If she was a teenager, it's different.
When she's 4,
what difference
you smoke weed with mommy and dad? Is that okay?
And if they did it, then her parents agreed to it.
They need counseling. That's what I'm saying. They need counseling.
You need counseling.
When she's
if
4,
you have an issue with what parents are doing with their children, it's not causing anybody any harm. You need counseling.
Like
I'm not thinking about the parents. I'm thinking about the child who has to live with that decision that they made. So, like she said, when she's 4 and she decides she wants to smoke weed with her parents, is that okay? So if this 4-year-old, so when she turns 4,
getting a haircut is not illegal.
But she's 4 and she wants to be like her parents, and that's what they do.
But that's illegal. A haircut is not illegal.
But when she walks in the bedroom and mommy and daddy's grinding,
it's a damn haircut. She looked beautiful in that picture. She looked absolutely gorgeous in that picture.
She was cute as a boy. She was cute.
She's cute.
What's the problem?
But all I'm saying is,
kids don't see it that way. The kids on her level don't see it that way.
Somebody's gonna hate something about you. So I mean, come on. Really?
She don't understand that though.
But you know what? You're speaking from the standpoint of an adult. A 3-year-old does not have that mindset. Kids don't have that mindset.
Oh, tripping
Hold on. Because here's the thing. All of the horrible things that you all hear children say in school, we do know where they get those horrible things from. They're getting it from their parents.
Exactly.
So if their parents are looking at that little girl's picture and looking at that little girl's haircut and talking about how that little girl looks like a little boy and talking about how it's not cool because parents are not cognizant of the things they're saying around their children, then yes, that is also a deciding factor on how those children are reacting. Now, as far as the haircut thing is concerned, I don't really care. It's hair, it grows back. If it would, for me to compare that to, well, what if she wanted to smoke weed? That's an apples and oranges thing, because her parents, just like Rebecca, just like me, could be thinking it's hair, it'll grow back. And so weed, that's an illegal substance. That's a substance that's a mind altering substance. So it's like it gets into apples and oranges when we're saying, well, because they allow their kids to get a haircut, they'll allow their kid to just smoke weed with them. That's not a fair statement to make. Not everybody is caring about what the other kids are going to say. Number one, that kid is 3 years old. I've seen a whole bunch of little white girls walking around with their hair cut and bobs and short and all that stuff. If we start making them hair conscious right now, that's going to turn into that's what's going to turn into an issue later, in my opinion. Now, I have a 4-year-old granddaughter right now. She likes to wear tutus all day long. The damn tutu can probably stand up on its own. But while she's here, wear the damn tutu, because see, the tantrum that can come from that, sometimes you got to pick your battles. Now, if we take her out somewhere, yes, we will explain to her, okay, sweetheart, you cannot walk outside this house in a tutu that can stand up on its own because you've been wearing it for 4 fucking days. We're going to either have to change the tutu, or we're going to have to take it off. We're going to have to wash it. You explain things to your children when they're going out in the world. But for people who complain that, dads are not an active part of the kids, like you got a little girl who is just wanting to look like her daddy. She may have watched her daddy get a haircut. She may never want to do it again. She may see what the fuck happened and she's like, oh my God, okay, well, this just looks good on daddy. It doesn't look good on me no more. And so sometimes if it's not going to harm her or anybody else, there's nothing wrong with you letting them do it. So that's my opinion on that.
Yeah. If she's in school, it's going to be different. As a 3 or 4 year old, like Brolic T said, you can say, well, no, maybe not. And you talk to the dad as a mother and say, maybe you need to talk to her. And you say, hey, we're going to go out and get matching sneakers. Our sneakers are going to look just alike. I'm sure that's going to occupy her. That's going to occupy her mind, that she's going to suddenly forget about the little haircut thing, and she's going to say, I got sneakers like my dad.
You're speaking from the aspect of a parent who would have a problem with her cutting her hair. Her parents didn't have a problem with her hair.
The point is, at the school level,
her to do that, then you can.
Never mind. If somebody can't get through whatever,
she's not in school. She's not in school.
Why she can't be in school at 3?
Then yes, listen. Excuse me. It's more important issues. I think that a more important issue is the fact that there may be a little boy or a girl that wants to go in the opposite bathroom at that age, because they've been taught that that's something that's okay for them to do.
If you're not in the schoolhouse, if you're not in the schoolhouse on the grind, you don't know what the subjects come and the impact that happens. You don't know
that's
it.
Not a fair statement either,
you
because
don't know
parent
it.
That's actively.
You don't know what really goes on. As a parent, you really don't know. Once they get out the car or they go to the bus stop, you don't know. You don't know.
I'm not disputing that, and nor do I need to. I'm not disputing what
you need
know
to.
As
People need to.
For what? Because if that little girl hasn't hurt anybody, because let me tell you something, just like the two of you know, it doesn't matter what that girl does. Somebody's gonna find something to talk about. If she had long, luxurious hair, somebody was gonna find something to say. If she comes to school in a dress every day, somebody's gonna find something to say. Somebody's gonna find something to say no matter what. And so if we start them off conforming to what the public might say, that can cause a problem later. I don't got to know what's going on in the school to know that we have to watch the messages that we're sending them as children, because now what are they supposed to do? Conform to what everybody else possibly going to say about them if they do something different? Is that the message that we want to teach them early on?
Three-year-old, we ain't even at that negotiation stage. We ain't even negotiating that 3-year-old.
Clearly she asked and somebody said yes, and it was done. So that's between her and her parents.
That's my segment. I'm going with it. They need counseling.
So what? We don't need counseling. We've already said that we all need counseling.
Whatever.
Everybody that has a problem with what somebody else is doing in their home needs counseling. Every last
Thank
one
you.
of us needs some counseling.
Here's the thing about the 3-year-old. The 3-year-olds are not only very impressionable, and a girl is not a hair. However, 3-year-olds are impressionable. So when something else is seen that she may like, then are you going to have to take the same stance on, we're going to do this? At this age, at this point, my question is the power struggle. And Mofo said that you really have to pick your battles. So imitation is the best compliment, so they say. So I don't think that it's at a 3-year-olds are not in school anyway, for the most part. And this is a 3-year-old girl. Her hair does not define who
Actually,
she
some
is.
of them are in
Because she
school.
can they can put ponytails in her hair and she could be the biggest tomboy in the world. They can cut her hair and she could be the daintiest thing in the world. The question for me is, as the parents, are you prepared to listen? Because that's now you're in protection mode. Now anybody, you're gonna have to do some things now because
You should
this
be
baby has
protecting anyway,
unusual hair.
though.
I'm agreeing with that, but what I'm saying is that they have added something that requires
It's
extra
always gonna be
protection.
something,
I
though.
don't.
It's always gonna be
For
something.
me.
Soon as
Wait
she
a
get
minute, Rebecca.
boobs,
Wait a
it's
minute.
gonna be something. It's
For
gonna
me,
always
it's
be
not. It's a
something.
non. For me, it's a non-issue. My granddaughters want to do everything that my son does, everything. And if they thought that they could get their hair cut like him, they would do it. The mamas ain't gonna say yes to that. So for me, it's really a non-issue because it doesn't change who this sweet, beautiful little child is.
Thank
If
you.
it's something that changes who she is fundamentally, then definitely I am against it. It doesn't bother me either way. If they do it, they do it. If they don't, they don't. It doesn't bother me because a person is the sum total of the package of who they are. It's a full sum of who they are. It's not just a snippet. Hair will grow back. But like I said, it doesn't matter to me either way. I don't think they need counseling. It doesn't matter either way.
For one, this is just a little segment because I'm a counselor. Do I really think, I'm about diagnosing people, whatever? Loosen up, people. Just having fun
We all
with this.
need. So here's something that I saw. So we're talking about children. So a situation you have, a 4-year-old, a 5-year-old. Now, I watched this 5-year-old take something from the 4-year-old, waited for the 4-year-old to respond, and then yelled out, "Well, I had it first." But no, sweetie, I'm looking at you. Okay, so the parents came out and they wanted to yell at the 4-year-old because they didn't see what happened. They just heard the other girl call out, and it's this little girl about sharing. You have to share. You have to learn to share. And so I was like, that made me start thinking that this is when, because we got two separate messages going on here. For the one little girl, is you have to share everything that you have. It's not nice for you not to share. For the other little girl, the message she's getting is, well, when I don't get what I want, somebody gets yelled at. To me, that's a problem. To me, because and the excuse that the 4-year-old's parents use, they say, well, when she goes to school, she's gonna have to share things. Well, to me, she's gonna have to share those things at school. I don't know if she's bringing her own personal stuff to school that somebody's gonna make her give up her stuff to another kid. But I think that that's a dangerous and a potentially dangerous message to send, because again, it's two lessons being learned. One kid is learning as a kid that they need to share everything that they have to be nice, or they're going to get fussed at. And the other kid is learning, when I don't get what I want, somebody gets fussed at. And we see a whole bunch of women that think that way. We see a lot of people pleasers that have been taught that sharing is caring and that's just what you need to do. And then on the flip side of that, we see a lot of selfish ass people that believe that when they don't get what they want, it's time to yell, it's time to scream, and it's time to cry. So I'm just saying, let's be cognizant. If we want to talk about the lessons our kids are learning, let's be cognizant of all of them, because that was something that I just witnessed and it made me think about it. And I was like, whoa, that explains a lot what we start being taught as children. Being cognizant of what other people are thinking, always having to share, always, what I'm saying? So we start off on a pretty raw end if we don't learn to get a handle on that jank by the time we get older. Because every rule that we have is about obedience as a kid.
All right.
Everyone.
You know, I think that people forget that 3 and 4-year-olds, them little toddlers, they're like terrorists. They're crazy, and they get what they want by any means necessary.
Because they
so you
ready.
have to.
They I got one walking around my house right now.
Okay,
they're ready.
Not getting her
they ready for the fight. They ready for the fight. That's why
they ready for that war. They want all that smoke, and they don't care either.
I swear they like little terrorists. They not playing with you. I promise you. Nope. And they'll go back and get 3 or 4 of their friends to help them because they don't understand concepts in life. So you have to keep that in mind. When I did the daycare, I absolutely stopped working with the 3 and 4-year-olds because I'm like, they are crazy. Them little babies are something. So you have to always keep in mind that there are lessons that are being taught, and you have to deal with those lessons, just like she said.
We moving on to the next thing, and this deals with kids too, and this pisses me off. This subject right here pisses me off that I ain't gonna shed no tears, but it aggravates me. Not even aggravates me; it breaks my heart. You know, strolling through Facebook and you see, I think it was I posted it. If some of y'all seen it about the couple, I guess it was the mother, maybe the fiance. And the grandmother, and they had the kids that was in the attic for over a year, whatever. Yeah. And listen,
and they were living downstairs.
Yeah, that shit right there eats my heart away, tears me up in pieces. That listen, as parents,
they don't need counseling. They need jail time.
They need everything. They need everything. They need everything. If you're someone who has kids, and I don't know if it's influence from the boyfriend or whatever the case is, or you're a boyfriend or man, and you know that a woman is doing this to the kids, you need to get out. This shit needs to be reported. There's no reason for 11 and a 12-year-old boy and a 9-year-old to be up in the attic for over a year, and you feeding them molded food, and the only source of water they getting is opening the window and stuff dripping, and they filling up a cup or a bucket. That shit pissed me off. That shit pissed me off. And you need counsel. You need a lot of shit. You need your ass whooped every day.
Every day. You need to never be able to have kids again if this is what you're going to do with a child.
We just need to line up in front of a firing squad and just be done with it. Fuck counseling, fuck jail. Line them up in front of a firing squad.
No, because listen, I want you to suffer like you had them kids. Everybody say that when you go to jail. Everybody say when you go to jail, people who do things to kids are the lower rung. You need to suffer for as long as possible because those are children that did not deserve that. I saw that story and it actually made me cry and made me want to fight at the same doggone time because there's no words. You don't deserve nothing in life. When you do
and what pisses me off is the parent allowed it to go on. Like, you allow somebody to mistreat your child. What the fuck is wrong with you? What is mentally wrong with you that you could see your child suffer and you could be okay with that shit and you could participate in it? Like, what the fuck? There are people out here who would kill. There are people out here who literally kill to have a child, and then you get a blessing because children are a blessing. Make no mistake about it. You get one, and then you don't do right by that child. What the fuck?
You know what is more disturbing for me? It's the simple fact that there was a grandmother. There was a grandmother. You look to your elders for direction and guidance. There was a grandmother who was included in that trash. I don't care how old she is. She needs to get everything they get. How dare you? If that was my grandkid, I will happily sit in jail because I'm going to blow your cap off your head. There ain't no ifs, ands, or buts. There is nothing in the middle. If you do my grandchild like that, good luck with keeping your life. It's not gonna happen. I'm sorry. And I won't feel bad about
because your ass on the way to hell when I get finished with you.
I'm just
Mental
saying, I
health
have
is
to
a
scream
real
and loud
Every
about
adult
every
in
day.
that house, every adult in that house is an abuser. Now,
mental health is a real issue.
whether it is because they
That
were
is.
abused in that fashion, because see, that's a really heinous thing to do. And we've all seen the Flowers in the Attic series. I read
Oh
those
yeah,
books.
I'm.
You know what I'm saying? And so you have people, and this is what I'm, you have people that, really do fashion their lives, behind the things that they see and the things that they read or the things that happen to them. And because this is too much like that for them not to have that just sitting, oh, this is some shit that we can do too. But they're abusers. And they have now spread that to these children, because these children have absolutely no clue right now really what the right
What it's like
way
to be
to do
treated right. Yep.
anything is, what the right
No
way to
air
do
room.
anything is. And so that means that that's going to have to come onto someone else that's going to have a compassionate heart, the patience of Job, and everything else that they're going to need in order to reprogram these children, which is why at this point, every last adult in that house needs to go ahead and go in public population in jail. They don't need to be protected by being kept in solitary. They
Nope.
need to go in general population, because yes, there is honor among
They need them
thieves.
ass
and
whoopers.
even people in jail, if your crime is against an elderly person or a child, that is literally your ass, because they look at you as a punk. You had to go to the most defenseless of people in order to get off what you needed to get off, and they're going to treat you accordingly. And what they usually do is, when they have people that are child offenders, they will put them in solitary confinement, or they'll put them in an area where they're secluded. That chick, Joni Eris, I think it was, that drove her motherfucking kids into a river and drowned them because her fucking boyfriend didn't want kids.
She
Yeah,
talking
they
about
had
that
to
white
keep
lady.
her. They had to keep
And had the
her
nerve to show up at her
somewhere.
fucking trial pregnant again.
Well, here's my problem.
Oh, I remember that damn
People
story. They did a
always
whole
throw
fucking
out
movie about her.
people always throw out the mental health thing. Listen,
real.
people that have mental health issues do know right from wrong.
They
That's
most
an
certainly
assumption.
do.
Yeah, when
Let,
they're
let
on
me
their
let me finish.
meds and
Mental health.
they're being
Listen,
properly
That's
cared
not
for,
necessarily
but you
true.
have a
Some of
lot of
them know it when they're not
undiagnosed
on their meds.
mental
you have a
health is
lot of
a very
undiagnosed
real
people
thing.
out
These
there in
people
the
knew what the
world
hell they was doing. Between the
having
three of them,
children. I'm not
somebody knew
saying
that shit wasn't
I'm
right
not
or wrong. They
saying
knew that.
I'm not saying what they did was right. What I'm saying is that there are a lot of undiagnosed people out there, and like Sharia said, there are a lot of people who have suffered a great trauma in their life with no counseling, and excuse their thinking, just like these children are going to grow up if they don't get counseling. They're going to grow up with skewed thinking and potentially cause harm to someone else because they didn't get the help they need. I'm not saying they don't deserve jail time or anything that comes their way. All I'm saying is that mental health is a real thing.
At the end of the day,
it absolutely is a real thing. It absolutely is, and it definitely needs attention. However, there are certain things in life that even people with it doesn't take much to create a child, okay? Everybody knows that your body is going to progress no matter where your mind is. Your body is going to progress. However, even people with mental health issues, a lot of them, not all of them, they know the difference between right and wrong. They know that if you're 6 feet tall, you don't beat up the 1 inch tall person because, somebody's going to come for your head. I'm not saying that mental health is not real, mental health does not exist, and mental health is something that does need to be addressed. I'm saying it absolutely needs to be addressed. However, if they thought that was okay with what they were doing, everybody
to me, they'd have been telling everybody, yeah, we lock our kids up in the damn attic every day. Like, when you start trying to hide what you're doing, to me, that's an indication that you know what you're doing is some bullshit.
Yeah.
Because this is how you knew they knew. This is how you knew they knew what they was doing. When you agitating the damn cat to the point and you're putting it on top of the kid so the cat can scratch it up, whatever, you know what the hell you doing. Let's get this cat going and let's put it up there, whatever, so it can scratch up the kids. Fuck out of Dodge with that shit, that mental health shit, whatever.
Let me tell you,
it could have been me. It could have been me who fought that kid wondering. It couldn't have been me when I went up in that house. It couldn't have been me.
Let me break something down for y'all.
And that's exactly what I was trying to say.
understand.
They gave signs that they were aware of what they were doing was wrong. There were signs all
I'm
around
not
them.
saying
So
it was
Right,
these
hey.
people, these particular people. All I'm saying is that mental health is real, and when they're not,
And
the undiagnosed are probably the most vulnerable, and the ones that are diagnosed, if they're not taking their psychotropics, trust and believe they will run their 5-foot ass up on a 6-foot ass person in a heartbeat. I've seen it. I worked 4 years in a locked state facility, and yes, they absolutely will. And again, I'm not saying these particular people did not know from right from wrong, that their intent was malicious. I'm just saying mental health is a real issue.
and I'm gonna say this one thing. Like, I totally agree with y'all. Mental health is a real thing, and it's something that needs to be addressed in this country. But let me tell you something. In the eyes of the law, they have a thing called mens rea. I talk to my children about this all the time. When they sit here and they brag about all the shit they're gonna do, there's a thing called mens rea. All the court needs to be able to prove is that you knew the difference between right or wrong. Your ass is going to jail.
Yep.
It's all they
Absolutely.
need to be able to prove. You could be certified schizophrenic, but if they can prove that you had a moment of lucidity and you knew in that moment that what you were doing was wrong, your ass is going to jail. And that's just
agree.
at the end of the day.
Security training course. She's absolutely correct.
when I was responding to that specific family, Rebecca, just FYI. I was responding specifically to them.
And I wasn't, when I was talking about mental health, I wasn't talking about this particular family. I'm just saying that there are people out there that truly need help, and they're either not getting it, won't get it, you know, whatever the reasons, you know, are, and they have a break with reality. And my feeling is when I see people like that,
consciously made a decision not to get yourself help, and you knew
right with you. Something cannot be right with you to be that way.
An example of what I believe, and Rebecca, you tell me if I'm wrong, if I'm getting it off, but I think that an example that would be like what Beck is talking about is like somebody who is suffering from postpartum depression. There are a lot of deaths and things that happen. Infants are getting hurt trying to steal babies. There are a lot of things that are going on because in that moment, you know, they know it's wrong, but that postpartum depression, once that takes over, then they're not even in control.
Listen,
of what
we're talking about this specific case, whatever, that fiance or whatever the case is, maybe the mother, maybe
just
I was just explaining.
I don't care what y'all think right now, whatever. I'm talking about this specific case.
I was just damn.
Damn, whatever. Yeah, whatever.
It's a real thing, but that doesn't always stand in court. That's all I was saying.
Yeah. I don't think any of us is disagreeing that this family.
That's what we're talking about. You can make it fit the narrative that you want to. In this specific case that I brought up, we could go millions of different cases, whatever. Yeah, ad libbing and coming up with shit. I'm talking about this situation.
Ain't that what you do on this show all the time? Is ad libbing come up with shit?
There you go.
I mean, do you not?
There you go.
Have 200 kids tomorrow, David.
Yeah, 200 kids.
So this
all
is the
day
question
long.
I got. If a person with mental health do something to your kid, do you really give a fuck that they got a problem? I don't.
Hell no, you don't give a fuck.
But that's your right.
Nobody give a fuck about that.
That's all I'm saying.
It was that mental health was real.
So whether the mother had mental health issues and the fiance was like, oh, he don't have no mental health issue, he went along with it or whatever the case, or he coerced her into do it. At the end of the day, the child interest is the that's when you make decision. What's in the best interest of the child? you know damn well it's 3 kids up there in the damn attic, and you giving them molded food. So you waiting for that shit. You plotting on that shit for that shit to mold up and like, okay, now we'll give them this, whatever. Nah, I ain't checking for all that mental health. I ain't checking for that. Like I said, the kid couldn't have been wandering around. The one kid that got away and they ran into me. We was going in there and wrecked shit up.
A counselor. Okay.
Okay. I'm a counselor all day long. Years into it. All
you
day
don't
long.
Care about mental health. Okay.
Did I say I don't care about? I care about
just said
children
that.
over
He
there.
said in this specific case, Rebecca.
Yeah,
He said
exactly.
in this specific case.
Exactly. I don't
In
care
matters
about
of
mental
children, I
health.
don't give a
Whatever. What
fuck
the
about
fuck is
nobody's
wrong with
mental
you?
health,
Whatever.
'cause I don't care. In matters of children, y'all can take that mental health shit at the door. Because that
Exactly.
kid,
When it's when you got to deal with kids, it's a different story.
Don't get help because
for
nobody
yourself.
give a fuck.
You can get help for yourself.
And you a damn nurse and you don't care about kids?
I care
Actively
wholeheartedly
chooses
about mental
not
health.
to get help
What
for
are you
themselves,
talking about?
and then they go and do stuff like this, I don't feel bad for you. When you actively choose to not get help for yourself and to do something like that to a child, I'm sorry, you can miss me with that. Because there's just no fucking way that you didn't know that what you were doing was wrong.
Like I said, and that heard me say every time. You messing with some kids, I don't give a damn who you is. It could be me and that kid against the world. Ain't nobody bullying no kids or whatever, not on my watch or whatever the case is, or doing something. I don't care what you think. Yeah, it's bigger than mental health when you messing with kids. Because there's a lot of service out there to get help.
The babies did not deserve that, and that's why I think
exactly, and they can't defend themselves. Like
nobody deserves to be just mistreated,
People
young
forget
or
about
old.
the victims, right? They forget about the victims because they allow the victimizer story to take first place. I feel like those kids are up against a whole lot of hardships going forward, even though they've been rescued from the situation, and it still that breaks my heart just as much as what has happened. Them babies didn't have
just
a
now
chance.
beginning.
Right,
Yeah,
they didn't have a fighting
beginning.
chance in life.
This is the
This is the
beginning of
beginning
their
of
journey.
life.
The
They're
being
done with
rescued
hell
part.
now. This is the real hard part begins now for them.
Because you have to reprogram these children to even, like I said before, they have zero clue of the right way to do anything from the examples that they've gotten. So whomever's heart goes out and you know, the people that are able to help them, they've got a long road on their hands. Like as far as, you know, the journey, this part of it right here was the easy part. And that sounds jacked up to say, you know,
But it's
but we
the
talk
truth.
about as far as the journey,
The therapy part of it is where it's going, like,
because here's the thing, we don't know what type of social skills they taught themselves while they were up there in that attic, and you have 2 boys and a girl.
Exactly.
Okay, and so there's so much. There's so much that's going to have to be, you know, because now they have a bond. So please understand, they're not going to be open and honest about everything that they've done together, how it is that they had to survive up in this place, what they knew to do. You know what I'm saying? And we only got half of the story of what these people was really doing to these kids. If they was feeding them moldy food, it's very, very possible they was having them do other things, because everyone in that house was an abuser. Everyone in that house was an abuser. And so, like I said, this part, you know, as heinous as it sounds, this was the easy part. Them finally getting rescued, hallelujah. But now is when the work begins. That's just like when people think that the hard part is finding somebody to marry. No, bitch. The hard part, now that you done got them, is staying that way. It's staying that way. If you done spent up all your energy just trying to find a mofo to marry you, you don't even know what it takes to keep a mofo married to you. Nobody is thinking about that. So these children, my heart goes out to them, you know, and my heart goes out to the people who are going to have to surround them and try to undo, because we're talking about late in age. How old is the oldest one, David? How old was the old boy?
12.
11 or 12. That man, just
and the fact is, they may never become a healthy whole individual. They may never be able
They
to
may not.
recover
That's
from
what I
it.
don't want to put
And
out
that's
there in the
exactly,
universe, because I believe that all things,
that's why
you
I
know,
put
it
the
can
word
happen.
may.
So but just
That's
the
why I'm
chance
saying
that
they may.
they've been given, yes, barbed wire and nakedness need to happen with them adults. I'm trying to tell you, like, you
I
know,
hope to
that we
God
need
that
to
the
do
Lord bless
them,
them.
get
I
them
really
a
do.
Jesus. Yeah, bless them with exactly what they deserve. That's what I hope he bless them with. I hope he blesses them with exactly what they deserve. And I'm talking about the
Yep.
adults in that house. I, that's, you know, I hope that there's somewhere or something or someone that is able to put them through exactly what they put those children through, slowly and harshly, just like they did. Because I do believe in an eye for an eye. And when you come up against a kid that can't protect themselves, for me, all the bets are off. We can talk about everything that we want to, because, and had I not been, you know, maybe I would have a different point of view, you know, if I had turned out a different way. But I was abused too, and I made it a point not to abuse, because I knew what the potential was. I knew what could happen if I did not check myself, and I did not want my children to feel for one fucking moment the way I felt my whole childhood. So there's a point where accountability is just that. And once you come across a child, you know, once you, to me, if you harm a child, I'm just ready to just smite you where you at anyway. I don't really care why, because, you know, take that to somebody who can handle it. Take that to somebody who has a fighting chance against you. Don't go, you know, to a child or to some
Exactly.
elderly person, you know, that doesn't, you know.
And I worked in
So
a whole orphanage. I worked in an orphanage with children who were, I would dare not tell you any of their stories, okay?
right.
With that being said, you have children who are aging out of a system. That's because these kids are probably part of the system now. I don't know. But you have children who are aging out of a system and still broken and don't even understand sometimes that things in their life they did not deserve. It was not their fault, but they're still broken. And so unless there's someone to press the reset button, they go into their adulthood still broken. You know, it's a tragedy all around. It's a tragedy all around. Those I don't even have words. That's all I'm gonna say. I have no words no more.
Yeah,
I
and
think
and for me, I don't undermine or devalue mental health. Damn, it's all the way real. It's all the way real. But my first
That's the fact.
inkling, it comes to when it's kids, when stuff is done wrong to kids. That's what I'm gonna lean toward. Adult with mental illness, I'm not gonna say okay that I understand you had a mental health issue. I'm thinking about them damn babies, whatever, ain't had a chance, whatever. They don't deserve that or whatever. Something had to click in somebody's head. Yeah, all didn't have mental illness. Somebody had a right sense and they just went along with it. Like, I ain't gonna say shit, whatever, or whatever the case is. But to know that your baby's up there, or you were the grandmother, or even if you were the boyfriend, whatever, you can say, hey, this shit ain't right, man. This stuff ain't right, man. Them up there, whatever. Somebody, whatever. Unless they diagnose all of them and say they all was such and such, but I don't believe that's the case. Now, the mother, the picture I see, I was like, yeah, she should have never had children. She looked legally crazy. She looked
Well, you
legally
know what,
crazy.
Herb? That goes back to these men sticking they magic stick in places that they ain't thought nothing about, okay? And not only you can do it, you
Yeah,
give
that's
this
true.
crazy
That's
woman a
true.
baby. Sure.
That's true.
Men,
That's true.
y'all stop going and getting these crazy, whacked out, no brain having, no. Man, stop putting your thing in everything that got a split, okay?
That's true. I ain't
or
gonna argue with that.
That's
find a
exactly
wall,
what
find one that you put in your
crazy.
pocket, do something. Like if you ain't gonna do nothing
Wrap it up,
with the nut
something.
after you get it, like, you know, just put it somewhere where it won't do no harm. You know, put it somewhere where it
Listen,
won't do no harm.
in the final way, we gonna get off that subject because y'all see tears coming out like, about the kids, whatever. I know I say I won't smoke all the time. Certain smoke I don't want. When kids come and tell me, I didn't have kids that tell me, telling me like, yeah, Mr. Glover, the reason why I'm staying with my aunt, whatever, because my mother burnt me with cigarettes and all that stuff. That shit make me want to cry right there in front of the kid. And instantly that kid become one of my favorite students and say, you ain't got to worry no more. I got your back. I got your back, whatever. But this stuff is real, whatever. This stuff is happening. And man.
Every day, and it's going undisclosed every day.
Exactly.
Every day,
Like
there's something happening. This just happens to make the news. What about the ones that don't make the news? You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. Because I work, you know, like David, I work in the schools. I'll never tell you the stories, but there's shit that I come home some days and I hug my kids and I kiss them and I just be like, I couldn't imagine me doing the kind of shit that I read about in some of these files for these kids. Like, why? How? Like, I couldn't imagine doing some of the shit that people do to their kids. Like, what? And then it's like, when I hear stories about how, you know, a school district or whatever tried to get a kid who was actively, and they knew the kid was being abused, like, parent ain't even trying to hide the black eye, sending them like that. And it's like the state dropping the ball. It's like, well, damn, who is really looking out for the kids out here? Because people are quick to talk about an adult's mental health, but what about a child? What about their rights? They got rights too. They have a right to be safe. They have a right to feel safe. And people don't always think about them because it's like, well, it's a child. But this child is going to grow up to be a person who lives in our society. What do you want this child to be like when they grow up? Because what happens to them when they're young, that's what they carry with them when they get older. That's why you see a lot of these adults out here walking around doing all kinds of things on drug or homeless and all that, because some of them never got a chance to heal from the trauma that they had, and some people dropped the ball in protecting them. These kids are 12, 11, and 9. I'm hard pressed to think that nobody at school noticed that the shit was going on. Where was, like,
Clearly they didn't go to school.
When these kids dropped out of school, why didn't somebody go and do a welfare check? Hello?
There was a lot of breakdown.
Don't want to waste the money because the money is more important to them than children are. They don't care about that. It's the money, honey. And unless you put coming out your pocket for them to do their job, they don't do their job. That's what it boils down to.
Trust me, I know. And that's the sad part about it, because it shouldn't be that way. But it is what it is.
I'm sorry, I gotta get going for a few minutes. I gotta let my dogs out. So
all right, thanks.
Have a good night for everybody. Good evening. Good weekend. I'll see you guys next time.
All right, stay safe.
You too. Bye-bye.
All right.
Man.
For this
Move
case,
to the next segment, Dave. Move on to the next, whatever your thing is.
You know what? I might leave it at this. I don't even want to go into the other. I got two in the hopper that I'm gonna just save the next time, because after this subject, it ain't even no point of going into them, because I'm gonna make an executive decision on that. It's no point, and we gonna close it out on that. And yeah, I can give y'all final words.
Y'all already know my saying, don't hurt but a lick.
All right.
I don't have no words. I have nothing to say. I hope the parents get what they deserve. The grandmother don't give a hell how old her ass is. They need to put her with somebody thick on her ass too, because you don't do wrong by kids. I'm sorry, I love kids. You know, that's right. Punish them. You know, they really need to be punished for doing that to kids. That's one thing I don't tolerate. You don't do wrong to kids. Yeah, my mother always told me kids are a blessing. And if you don't want to be bothered, there's so many ways you can get rid of your kids. We have laws now. You just drop them off anywhere. On the church, you know, fire stations. You don't do that to kids. I'm sorry. That's just wrong. That is just too wrong.
But we really did go really, really off topic. Because I thought it was about, and I don't know how we get there. Probably was my fault. I don't know. Probably was my fault. But I guess I'll just end mine with just simply say, listen, sometimes you don't see the true nature of a person, or sometimes you do see it in you because for whatever reason, whatever. But these people, true nature was revealed. and it was revealed in such a horrific way. It really, it for them, I'm just talking about for them, it really seems like something should have been caught a long time before that. But when it comes to protecting children, as they say, it takes what they say, it takes a village to raise a child.
Raise children. That's right.
It also takes a village to keep them safe. They had neighbors, they had all types of things.
It was a lot of breakdown. It was a lot of breakdown. When you don't see kids outside for a while, you're like, what the hell going on? And they ain't moved. Something needs to be investigated. Like, where are these kids
listen,
at?
when you live next door to kids, even if you don't see them outside, you can hear them running around in the house screaming and hollering, a lot of times having a bunch of fun, or you hear you just have an indication that there's children in the home. I don't know if the circumstances allow for them to make any noise without repercussion. I don't know. I just feel like the whole entire everything failed them. Everything. So that makes me say that everything needs to be revamped, because this was one of them things that should not be. God forbid they was died up there, because there are many parents, many children, and even adults who lose their lives because for things like this. So God forbid, and thank God they didn't. I just feel like at this point the entire system needs to be revamped, and those who have allowed children and things of this nature to fall through the crack, elderly abuse of, there was some guy that was that was being intimate with a woman in a coma. There's no way she can give consent. So the whole system, right, he did. The whole system failed. So I feel like at this point, whoever's in charge, y'all need to step down, and the system needs to be revamped. And not only revamped, it needs to be revamped in a very strict manner, where if you don't do what you need to do, because somebody's life is dependent on you, you need to be held accountable for that. You don't need to. It bugs me when you see people like that's supposed to come in and take care of the children, like Brawley T said, the school report, and they steady send them back, and then you walk away with nothing. That's a problem. So I feel like the system needs to be revamped, and that there needs to be very concrete things, very strict actions, and people need to be held accountable. If you get a phone, I know that they can be overwhelmed with fraudulent calls and claims and things like that. I also know that each and every one of them has to be investigated. So if you're getting calls from the schools, you're getting calls from the hospital, so on and so forth, that needs to be addressed. So the system needs to be fixed, and the village needs to be vigilant, because maybe, just maybe, the village can do more good than the system. That's all I wanted to say. To thine own self be true.
Thank you.
Something that made me really happy to know, all you know that I'm here. I've been here. I feel like I've been here for 30 years, but being for 30 days with the grandbabies, I'm completely over fucking stimulated. But something that made me very, very happy, because I went through great pains to try to build that village for my children. And I was standing outside with my baby granddaughter, and one of my kids' neighbors walked by and was like, "Oh my God, is that the baby?" Immediately came over. Dude from across the street, he was like, "Yeah, I noticed that, she wasn't waddling around anymore, and I figured she must have had the baby." It made me feel very good that my kids are surrounded, and they know the mailman. Okay, there's a police officer that comes, that patrols here, that I've talked to. I've talked to the mailman, the damn butcher, the baker, and the candlestick maker bitch. And it made me feel beautiful. Even the neighbor in the back. Okay, I was going outside to sneak me a smoke and get away from the kids. And lo and behold, it's a neighbor in the back, because my dog wanted to bark. And he was like, "Oh, wait a minute, are you my new neighbor?" I said, "No." He said, "Well, I met Quan and I met Brandy." I said, "Okay, well, I'm the mother-in-law." It just made me feel good to know that there's people that are cognizant of the fact that my kids are here, my grandbabies are here. They didn't know me personally, and they didn't care. They was coming to check it out. Oh, is that the baby? Is that the little, you know what I'm saying? That made me feel beautiful. It made me feel safe. It made me feel better just about where they are and how they're doing things because the neighbors are involved. I can't walk my dog without several neighbors waving, and I'm waving back because I'm all up in Mayberry having a great time. It feels wonderful. Okay, to be able to talk to the mailman, to be able to talk to the police officer that goes through, and I don't have to have a stigma about, is this police officer really trying to profile me? He's doing his regular beat. So this little corner of it that they've been able to carve out for themselves, is doing exactly that, because the village is all about the people. People have to want to get involved. People have to want to be a part of your village, because you can try to build it all you want to, but if you're sitting with neighbors that would rather be left alone and that don't, the cat people and all that shit, that don't want to come outside and shit, it's gonna be very hard. So yeah, I agree with what everybody said. The village is the thing that we need to get back to. We keep on trying to depend on the system that has failed us from day one. I myself done relying on a system. I'm gonna rally people that are around me, help me. My kids are here. I done told the lady, old white lady, they're in a white neighborhood. Old white lady, I told her, if you hear pebbles at your window, it's me sneaking out to my car. You can come smoke with me. She was like, can I really? Huh? It's universal. So we're cultivating this community, and that's what we need to do. We cannot rely on the system. Cannot rely on the system. That's a fool's journey. We've been relying on the system that has hated us since they brought us here. They hated us when they brought us here. They're not going to give us anything, and they're definitely not going to protect our children, because it's been their agenda to try to weed us out anyway. We have to get vigilant. So, and for that, my words, check yourself more than you check anybody else. Fair exchange is a robbery, so stop being a thief out in this motherfucker. And karma's a bitch. It's all gonna come back. She could be a nice bitch or a mean bitch. You decide. So, treat people how you want them to treat you. See how that gets you. See if that gets you a little bit further on in happiness. So that's what I get.
Rebecca.
Live your life, because I'm living mine.
No, that's not how it goes. What you say?
Right, that is not what you say.
That is not how it goes. That's
Definitely
not how
not
I need the F-bomb. I need all of that. That's not how it goes.
You keep your raggedy ass over there and handle your shit, because everything at 1319 is just peachy.
And there we go.
Can't stand you.
Letting you get away with that bullshit.
We got to hear that.
And Mama T, I need to hear from her.
Mama T, what's your closing word?
Like I say, Dick ain't
Daddy
got no
tissue?
eyes, Dick ain't got no nose, Dick ain't got no conscience. And there's a lot of deadbeat dads out here. So you ladies stay strong and do your thing.
And make them eat the dog.
Much love.
All right.
And for me, my closing words, and I understand about the village part, and I could even think about me. In my neighborhood, I mind my business and keep it going. But I can even think about, like, when having awareness that at one point it was this lady that lived across the street, this older lady, and I'm like sitting there thinking, like, okay, I see her come and go. But then it seemed like it was her daughter and then her grandkids. But I never seen this old lady anymore. And her car was parked around the corner. And I was so close to calling it in. I'm like, did they kill this damn lady and take over her house? I was just that nosy and inquisitive. But I was like, I'm going to wait it out. Because I'm like, this is not like her. Why is she parking her car around the corner? And she seemed like she was like in her 70s and all that stuff. So I was concerned. I mean, I guess we got to keep our eyes and ears. So the end of that situation is she did surface, but I thought like maybe the daughter did something to her and took over the house. And I'm like, man, if this lady's body is up in here, sooner or later somebody gonna have to say something. And so she ended up surfacing, and maybe she was just house watching. I don't know what the case was. But you have to pay attention to your surroundings nowadays, whatever in your neighborhood, whether it's random cars that's there or whatever the case is that you ain't seen before. It's a lot of stuff going on. Actually, I went off on Mr. Softy the other night, whatever. He was playing his music, and it was like 9 something on the Saturday night. I'm like, dude, why are you over here at 9 something, whatever, at night, and it's pitch black, luring kids over here? Get your ass off this street. And he like looked at me, but he rolled off, whatever. It's not cool, man. You're not riding through trying to get kids to get ice cream at 9 something at night.
That was
At
a
9
valid
something at night, whatever.
Dave, that was a valid observation, and it was a good thing that you addressed that. You was talking about that lady on the corner where I used to live at. There was an elderly gentleman stayed in an upstairs apartment. His parents were gone. His wife was gone. He had 1 child. That boy lived in California. They didn't find that man's body until it stunk up the neighborhood, because there was no village for him, because he had 1 kid who never bothered to make any connections to anyone and say, hey, check on my whatever. He was just an elderly man. He didn't shop. He didn't do any of that, so that was a good observation for you to tell Mr. Sophie, hey, dude, bounce. It's pitch black. Ain't no kids out here. What are you doing here? That was a good observation.
Granted, it was kids coming out, but I can't think like, okay, at a certain point in this culture that we living in, I don't give a damn how much money I'm going to be making. At nighttime, I'm not trying to ride through trying to play my little music to get kids to come up to my ice cream truck. You got to do that shit some other time. Yeah. So that's then
music in the pitch black neighborhood, just going through with no headlights on. That's
because kids is like Pavlov's dog. When they hear that sound, because I remember back in our days, but it never was at night. It was in the afternoon, whatever.
Yeah.
And so and they come run out. Oh, can I get some ice cream? Hell no, you ain't about to pay $5 for a cone of ice cream. I'll go to the damn store and you can get a tub of ice cream and eat that shit over and over and over again, whatever. I know.
God, were you one of those parents? Were you one of those? Were you one of those? I can make better hamburgers than McDonald's can type of parents? Because quite frankly, no, they can't. No, they can't. Yeah, they can't.
No, that's just different with somebody riding around in the truck.
When I hear the ice cream truck, my grown butt, my extra grown butt will chase the ice cream truck.
I will run right outside. I will run right outside for a strawberry shortcake.
It's okay in the daytime, but not at 9 at night. Not at night.
At 9 at night, this mother run through here right now. I'm gonna be out there like, dude, what you got? But if the kids out there, I'm gonna let the kids go
pushing the kids out the way and everything. She's knocking every big head kid out the way. If you don't get out
I'll let the kids go first and everything, because I don't want no kids at the window when I walk away. But I will knock some grown folks down. I might push an elderly person. No, I'm joking. I ain't gonna push the elderly, but I will get that ice cream.
That just bothers me.
I'm one of the big kids when it comes to the ice cream truck. I'll run you over, get out the way. Matter of fact, I had a certain set of kids trained. If you see me break out the door, just run with me and you get whatever you want. So when I took off, they took off. And they got I can't
ask no questions, just run. If I run, you run. Don't ask no questions, just start running.
And they didn't. They knew what it meant. Oh, here come the ice cream truck. Let's go, y'all. We gotta go. They were hot on my heels.
I bet your husband probably think differently. Like, what the hell you running out here buying that truck for?
No, listen, honey. In my neighborhood, ice cream trucks don't come here. Okay. So you got to worry about that. We go to the store and get moved on. But if I happen to be in a neighborhood that has an ice cream truck, I have had my husband run the ice cream truck down with our car.
I was about to say, hubby look like he will block the street off.
Yeah.
Hubby look like he'll block the street off. Like, yo, dude, my wife needs some ice cream. He looked like he blocking
we
off
caught
the
that
street.
ice cream truck. We caught that ice cream truck. You better believe
at
it. And I didn't care if
9:30.
it took 3 hours.
And I think what pissed me off, I think I was on the damn, I might have been on the damn phone and you hear that loud damn music and like, if you don't turn that down, why are you here, man? It's 9 something. Get your ass out of here with that truck. And he looked at me and he bailed out and I ain't hear that music no more. I just think it's too much.
9 something at night, if that bad boy rolled through and I'm on the phone with you, you talking to air because I'm outside. I ain't gonna lie to you. I'm There's something about the ice cream truck, ice cream. I can't help it. It just is what it is. But you had a very good observation. 9 o'clock at night, it's dark outside. Like if the ice cream truck came over here at 9 o'clock at night, he's subject to have a very major problem because they don't come through here in the daytime. So if you come through here at nighttime rolling with some ice cream truck, oh baby, the whole block is out to see who you are. You're gonna get introduced to the neighborhood and you won't come back. So that was a good observation for you to say, hey, it's 9 o'clock at night, it's dark out. Why are you here? That was that's the epitome of the village.
True that. All right, good people. We about to get out of here. And I know what our original subject is about how to end. We already know how it happens in open court discussions, cocktail conversations. We started off talking about breaking up and how those things go, and we ended up on y'all started that with Herb, his public display of information, but we ain't gonna go further than that.
I missed that. Okay.
We out of here. Y'all have a good weekend. See y'all on Monday. If y'all got any talking points for Monday, send them to me and we'll roll from there. And everybody have a good weekend. Stay safe. And remember, COVID ain't going nowhere. It's still here. It's still present. Still present. Vaccines and all is still there. Be safe. Even though the weather is breaking and it's good, be safe, man, and make sure you're around people that's trying to be safe.
It's terrible.
Yeah. All right, y'all. Appreciate you.
Everybody. Good night.
Nah.
All right.